Chapter 43-27. The Pilgrimage Grounds, Lu Family, the Land of River Earl, Chi Family, the Land of Surging Waves, Ice Jade Divine Sect. Feng Qingyang paused in front of the bounty on his disciple, Duanling Tian. He made a mental note of all the ultimate gods from the various planes of gods who wanted his disciple's life. With his current strength, he would not be able to do anything to these giants. However, life was full of ups and downs. It was hard to say what would happen in the future. Perhaps in the future, he would have the strength to destroy all these forces on his own. There should be no doubt about who will be the first on the Upper God Emperor ranking board. As for the overall ranking, unless something happens to little Tian, there is a high chance that he will be the first on the overall ranking board. As long as I can enter the top 3 on the overall ranking board, I will be satisfied, Feng Qingyang thought to himself. After that, Feng Qingyang stayed in the military camp for a period of time. He found a corner and sat down cross-legged. He closed his eyes and rested. His surroundings were enveloped by the array disc that he took out. The military camp was not small and could accommodate many people. Moreover, as long as one was willing, one could expand the military camp by spending some divine crystals. For example, Feng Qingyang was currently in a corner of the military camp. He had used divine crystals to open up an area and set up a formation. Then, he closed his eyes and cultivated. There was even a formation that blocked one's line of sight within the formation. Therefore, although there were people who were curious about Feng Qingyang, no one was able to see Feng Qingyang's face. They could only watch as the formation around Feng Qingyang stood there for a long time. No one dared to disturb Feng Qingyang. First of all, there was no way to make a move here. Therefore, if they disturbed Feng Qingyang here, other than offending Feng Qingyang, there would be no other result. As for offending Feng Qingyang, it might not be a big deal now, but when Feng Qingyang really grew up in the future, they would definitely be unlucky. They had no enmity with Feng Qingyang, so they naturally did not want to offend a monstrous genius like Feng Qingyang for no reason. At about the same time, in another military camp, there was also the figure of a young girl walking in front of various bounties for Duanling Tian. These people, these factions, I'll remember them all. When eldest senior sister comes back, I will definitely tell her and ask her to stand up for little junior brother. If big senior sister doesn't come back soon, I'll wait until I'm strong enough to avenge little junior brother. The girl's eyes were filled with killing intent. The surrounding people who saw this only thought that the young girl's killing intent was targeted at Duanling Tian, and there were even people who couldn't help but console her. Little girl, this Duanling Tian isn't so easy to kill. Up until now, I've never heard of anyone succeeding. Yeah, I heard that many high-level ultimate gods have deliberately gone out to look for him with the intention of killing him to collect the bounty, but they all returned in vain. Girl, you're just a lower ultimate god. You're no match for Duanling Tian. Originally, Lang Chunwan was still thinking about how to avenge her little junior brother in the future. Suddenly, a group of people spoke up and comforted her, which made her speechless for a moment. It was to the extent that his original solemn expression was shattered into pieces at this moment. In another military camp, a young man stood calmly on the side under the gazes of many people. He looked out of the military camp and muttered in his heart, Duanling Tian, you should still be alive, right? I hope you're not dead. Otherwise, I would have wasted my efforts in saving your life last time. Your senior brother spared my life, so we're even now. If you're not dead, we'll definitely fight again when we meet again in the future. This young man was none other than Ning Yishuan, the prodigy of the Ning clan in the Land of Punishment. Previously, when he met Duanling Tian, he was almost killed by Duanling Tian. It was the supreme expert of the Ning clan who saved him. Later, when he met Duanling Tian again, he saved Duanling Tian's life with the power of the supreme expert behind him. Later on, when he met Duanling Tian's third senior brother, Yang Yuchen, he was almost killed by Yang Yuchen and promised Yang Yuchen to write off the debt of saving Duanling Tian's life. This time, there's no chance for me to get into the overall ranking. It shouldn't be a problem for me to get into the top 3 of the medium ultimate gods. Ning Yishuan's eyes shone with strong confidence when he thought of this. The reason Ning Yishuan was so confident was not only because he was confident in his own strength, but also because he knew many powerful medium ultimate gods had gone to hunt down Duanling Tian and had neglected to accumulate chaos points. Under such circumstances, it was naturally much easier for him to get into the top 3 of the medium ultimate gods list. Outside the military camp, in a desolate area, 2 young men were flying in the air toward the military camp in front of them. Second senior brother, this time, both of us are destined not to get into the medium ultimate gods list. When we meet little junior brother later, we'll have to beat him up, Yang Yuqin said with a smile. Others might not know if Duanling Tian was dead or alive, but he was very clear about it. This was because he had his little junior brother, Duanling Tian's soul pearl, in his possession. Moreover, he had obtained it when they parted last time, and the soul energy within it had yet to dissipate. Now, he was certain that his little junior brother Duanling Tian was still alive and well. Of course, we'll beat him up, Hong Yifeng also said with a smile. Although both of us didn't help him much this time, we didn't continue to deliberately accumulate chaos points because of him. This time, he's fine and there's no doubt that he'll be the first on the lower ultimate gods list. He'll even be able to compete for the first place on the overall list. I'm not sure if he'll be first. After all, who knows if there are any hidden peerless geniuses in the god-defying realm. However, there's no doubt that he'll be in the top 3 on the overall list. Yang Yuqin said while shaking his head. I think there's a high chance. Hong Yifeng said with a smile. If little junior brother gets the first place on the overall list, according to that supreme expert, the reward for the first place on the overall list is to be able to take a bath in the divine accumulating spring. At that time, little junior brother can take as much divine accumulating spring as he wants. Even if he said he wouldn't let little junior brother take it, he'll definitely be able to secretly take it while he's taking a bath. That supreme expert can't possibly watch little junior brother take a bath all the time, right? When Hong Yifeng reached the end of his sentence, he had a smug expression on his face as though he was smarter than anyone else. However, when Yang Yuqin heard his second senior brother's words, his face twitched. Second senior brother? According to what you're saying, let little junior brother take his bath water for us to drink? Can't we let little junior brother take some divine accumulating spring before he takes a bath? Yang Yuqin was speechless. Hong Yifeng rolled his eyes at Yang Yuqin. I've already said that the supreme expert might not be willing to let little junior brother take another divine accumulating spring. If it's possible, we'll let him take it first before he takes a bath. But what if it's not possible? Right now, you seem to dislike his bath water. When he really takes the bath water and puts it in front of us, let me drink your share as well. When Hong Yifeng reached the end of his sentence, his eyes lit up. When Yang Yuqin heard this, he was first stunned before he became anxious. Who said I dislike little junior brother's bathwater? That's little junior brother. We're family. Who would dislike his bathwater? Second senior brother. Did you hear wrongly earlier? I didn't dislike it. Don't spout nonsense in front of little junior brother. End of chapter. Chapter 43-28. Duanling Tian naturally did not know that his third senior brother and second senior brother were already eyeing his bathwater. He was currently focused on consolidating his cultivation base as a lower ultimate god. He always felt that he was one step away from completely consolidating his cultivation base, but he had yet to take the most crucial step. He had completely forgotten about the time while he was cultivating. In his impatience, he had even forgotten that he was about to leave the upgraded version of the Chaos Territory. It wasn't until a pulling force swept over and destroyed the formation he'd set up around him, and then he was pulled and swayed. Only then did he come to his senses. This is time's up? Time's up. The upgraded version of the Chaos Territory was closed. At that moment, Duanling Tian only felt a strong pulling force assaulting his body. This force gave him a feeling that he could not go against it. Even when he tried to activate the divine power in his body with all his might, he could not move the divine power in his body at all. It was as if there was an unusually strong force suppressing his divine power. This feeling was similar to when he took out the divine power of an immortal in the Chaos Territory. In the planar battlefield, it was possible to use the godly energy of an omnipotent. However, in the Chaos region, It was impossible to use the godly energy of an omnipotent. In fact, in the chaos region, as long as one used the godly energy of an omnipotent, one would feel as though a powerful force was pressing down on one's body, causing one's godly energy to be unable to move. Even the divine power of an immortal would be condensed into a solid state at that moment and could not be integrated into the body at all. However, when he withdrew the supreme expert's divine power with just a thought, the power that suppressed his divine power disappeared. It was like the power of the laws in the chaos region. If you violated the laws, it would suppress you. If you didn't, it would ignore you. Not only did the chaos territory restrict the use of the divine power of an immortal, but it was the same for the upgraded version of the chaos territory. As for the reason, Duan Lingtian had heard from someone in the military camp that the chaos territory prohibited the use of the divine power of an immortal in order to show fairness. The goal was to give the grassroots a chance to rise. After all, the grassroots generally did not have the backing of an immortal and did not have the divine power of an immortal to squander. Even Duan Lingtian had a limited amount of divine power from an immortal. Therefore, it was a good thing for Duan Lingtian that the realm of chaos forbade him from using the divine power of omnipotent experts. Otherwise, he would have long used up the divine power of the utmost powerhouse. Furthermore, it was very likely that after using up the utmost powerhouse's divine power, he would have died at the hands of an expert who had the utmost powerhouse's divine power because he did not have the utmost powerhouse's divine power to rely on. Especially that time, when he faced an opponent that could almost kill him. If the opponent could use the divine power of an omnipotent master while he didn't, he would have died without a doubt. He went out. Once we get out of here, we'll know the results of the ranking list and the overall ranking list. Right now, I only know how many chaos points I've accumulated. I don't know how many chaos points the others have. However, with my chaos points, it shouldn't be difficult for me to rank first on the overall ranking. As for the lower ultimate gods list, that goes without saying. With such thoughts in mind, Duan Lingtian was teleported out of the upgraded chaos realm and into the planar battlefield where the divine offering land and the sanction land intersected. Of course, he was not directly sent to the barracks. Therefore, after he got out, Duan Lingtian was still extremely vigilant. After confirming that there was no danger in the surroundings, he breathed a sigh of relief. Right now, people should be sent out one after another. It won't be long before the results of the ranking list and overall ranking list in the upgraded chaos realm are displayed in the sky above all the planar battlefield. With that thought, Duan Lingtian suddenly raised his head and looked straight at the sky. At the same time, the people who were sent out of the upgraded chaos realm all raised their heads to look at the sky, waiting for the appearance of the upgraded chaos realm's ranking list. Many people who did not enter the planar battlefield had also entered the planar battlefield at this time. They wanted to be the first to know the ranking list that would appear after the upgraded chaos realm was over. Even the Xia clan of the divine offering land sent some people. The head of the Xia clan, Xia Yu, personally came. This time, he did not participate in the battle for the upper ultimate gods list in the upgraded chaos realm because he felt that he would not be able to catch up with the upper ultimate gods who had entered the planar battlefield earlier if he did not enter the planar battlefield to accumulate battle merits in the beginning and entered after hearing the news that the upgraded chaos realm was about to open. In this way, entering the chaos realm would only lead to disappointment. Even the head of the Yun clan, Yun Tingfeng, entered the chaos realm in the upgraded chaos realm. In fact, he was not optimistic about it, and felt that the chances of Yun Tingfeng entering the upper ultimate gods list were slim. If that boy dies, he can only blame it on his bad luck. If he doesn't die, will he be first on the overall ranking list this time? Although Xia Yu did not like his cheap son-in-law whom he had never met from the beginning, when news of his cheap son-in-law came again and again, it made his originally unwavering heart waver. A lower ultimate god who was not even 1,000 years old. He killed lower ultimate gods like killing dogs, and was recognized as the #1 lower ultimate god in the god-defying world. Not many middle-level ultimate gods were a match for him. This was before. Now, he believed that with Yun Tingfeng's talent, his strength must be even stronger. He might even be able to compete with those top upper ultimate gods. Moreover, He also learned that his cheap son-in-law was no longer just a loose cultivator with no background in his eyes. Yun Tingfeng was not only a genius, but his background was also extraordinary. He was a member of the Myriad Law Academy's inner branch in the Xinjiang and was this generation's junior brother. The Myriad Law Academy's inner branch was also full of monsters in this generation. First, it was Huangfu Mingyuan, then Hong Yifeng, and now Duan Lingtian. The number 1 upper ultimate god in the god-defying world, the number 1 medium ultimate god in the god-defying world, and the number 1 lower ultimate god in the god-defying world were all from the Myriad Law Academy's inner branch. It's a pity that the Myriad Law Academy's inner branch and Myriad Law Academy don't have any supreme experts to directly protect them. Otherwise, he would be able to say something. That way, I wouldn't be threatened by Yun Tingfeng with the ancestor's safety. The ancestor is currently on duty there, and his safety is completely in the hands of the Yun family's ancestor. Although the Yun family's ancestor might not listen to Yun Tingfeng's suggestion, he still has to be on guard. Thinking up to here, Xia Yu sighed inwardly. Yun Tingfeng was still too young, and he was still too weak. If he had 4 supreme experts now, he would not have fallen into such a dilemma. He could almost imagine that when Duan Lingtian was really killed by the Yun family because of his cooperation with them, his daughter would definitely hate him for the rest of her life when she learned of this news. From the perspective of a father, he should naturally be happy for his daughter after learning that she had such a talented husband with an extraordinary background who was completely worthy of her. However, from the perspective of the Xia family patriarch, he had no other choice. Behind him was not only his daughter, but also the entire Xia family clan. On one side was his daughter's happiness, and on the other side was the future of the entire Xia family clan. It might even be the downfall of the entire Xia family clan. Although it was said to be a choice, he actually had no choice. From the moment he became the Xia family patriarch, the Xia family was his responsibility. At the same time, Yun Tingfeng, the patriarch of the Yun family, was transported to the nearby military camp. Since someone recognized him, the people nearby all showed him respect. That's the patriarch of the Yun family. The patriarch of the Yun family, the publicly acknowledged strongest person in the Yun family after the supreme experts? That's him. I didn't expect the patriarch of the Yun family to be in the realm battlefield as well. Could it be that he's also participating in the upgraded version of the Chaos Zone's Supreme Gods list? That's most likely the case. At this moment, although Yun Tingfeng was surrounded by a group of people, he completely ignored them. As the patriarch of the Yun family, he was the center of attention no matter where he went in the Divine Offering Land. The scenes he had seen in the Divine Offering Land were much bigger than this. He was long used to it. Currently, Yun Tingfeng was looking up at the sky, waiting for the upgraded version of the Chaos Zone's Supreme Gods list and the top 3 rankings to appear. There's a high chance that Duan Lingtian has died, right? I hope he's already dead. Otherwise, Xiaoyu might change his mind. In Yun Tingfeng's opinion, Xiaoyu had been willing to cooperate with him to deal with Duan Lingtian because he had threatened Xiaoyu with the safety of the Xia family patriarch. However, at that time, Xiaoyu did not know that Duan Lingtian had an extraordinary background. Now that Xiaoyu knew about it, he might have other thoughts. If Duan Lingtian isn't dead, and he really dares to change his mind, even if the Xia family patriarch doesn't die, he'll be skinned alive. Yun Tingfeng snorted coldly in his heart. He had already told the Yun family patriarch about this matter. At first, the patriarch was a little hesitant. However, after learning about how monstrous Duan Lingtian was, he listened to Yun Tingfeng's suggestion. As the Yun family patriarch, he naturally did not want a terrifying enemy to appear in the Yun family in the future. If Yun Tingfeng had used the safety of the Xia family patriarch to threaten the patriarch of the Xia family to marry his daughter to his son, the Yun family patriarch might not have helped him. However, this time, the Yun family patriarch had already confirmed that he would help Yun Tingfeng when he used the safety of the Xia family patriarch to threaten Xiaoyu to join forces with him to deal with Duan Lingtian. The Yun family patriarch was also a member of the Yun family. He was the person with the highest seniority in the Yun family. Naturally, he did not want his descendant to be in trouble. It's out. While Yun Tingfeng's mind was still spinning and his gaze had become somewhat absent-minded, he suddenly heard a series of exclamations. His eyes narrowed abruptly. In the next instant, The rankings appeared one after another in the sky. 9 rankings appeared in the sky and formed a circle. And at the center of this circle, there was a list with only 3 lines of words on it. It was the overall ranking. Chapter 43:29. The overall ranking. At this moment, even though there were 9 lists around them with 10 lines of words on each list, no one was looking at them. Although these 9 lists represented the low-level godly emperors to high-level godly emperors, they could see the 90 most outstanding people in the upgraded version of the Chaos Realm. However, everyone's attention was on the overall ranking in the middle. The 3 lines of words attracted everyone's attention. After everyone's eyes fell on it, they did not move away for a long time, as if they had taken root on it. After a while, the sound of people inhaling cold air could be heard from all over the plains of gods. It's really him. He didn't die. There were so many bounties, but none of them managed to capture him. The more monstrous one is, the harder it is to kill him. This is too scary. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on the first line of the overall ranking. First place, Lower Divine Master of the Mysterious Gang, Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian. This name was not unfamiliar to anyone in the planar battlefield. In the past few decades, this name had spread throughout the planar battlefield and even the plains of gods. Let me tell you, I've been using a book-chasing app recently, /me/reading/app// to read books in a cache and read them offline. As far as they knew, they had never heard of such a monstrous existence in the history of the god-defying realm. He had entered the ultimate god realm before the age of 1,000. Moreover, he had no opponents among the lower divine masters as soon as he entered the ultimate god realm. Even among the medium divine masters, only the top ones could suppress him. Of course, what they knew was Duan Lingtian's strength not long after the upgraded version of the Chaos Realm was opened. In their opinion, after 30 years of accumulation in the upgraded version of the Chaos Realm, even if Duan Lingtian's current strength did not improve too much, it must have improved to a certain extent. Perhaps, he could even compete with those top medium divine masters. He really is the first. This is too shocking. Duan Lingtian really got the first place. When the crowd came back to their senses, they were in an uproar. Although many people were mentally prepared, when the moment really came, they still couldn't help but be shocked. Not only was this Duan Lingtian still alive, but he had also taken first place in the overall ranking. Getting the first place on the overall ranking list means that he'll get the first place reward. At the same time, the first place on the lower Ultimate Gods list is undoubtedly his. Taking the first place on the overall ranking list and the first place on the lower Ultimate God ranking list is something we're jealous of, but it's nothing to him. Oh my God! Wouldn't he be able to absorb as much as he wanted by soaking in the divine containment spring? On top of that, he could also obtain a Supreme Master's Godhead. A Supreme Expert's Godhead is a priceless treasure. It's said that once you get a Paragon-level Godhood, you'll be able to master the magical laws within it, and you'll be able to travel thousands of miles in a single day. Now, many people were a little jealous. They were jealous of the reward that Duan Lingtian was about to receive. He's really in first place. In a military camp at the intersection of the Xinjiang land and the pilgrimage grounds, Yang Yuqin's face was full of smiles. At the same time, in the wilderness, Hong Yifeng also had a bright smile on his face. This time, we can ask little junior brother to bring us some bathing water. No, bring back some divine containment spring. In the sky above another mountain range, Lang Chunwan's eyes lit up. Little junior brother is in first place on the overall ranking list. My ranking. After seeing that her little junior brother's name was in first place on the overall ranking list, Lang Chunwan could not help but look at the lower Ultimate Gods list. With just one glance, her face fell completely. How could this be? This was because Lang Chunwan realized that not only was her name not in the top 3 of the lower Ultimate Gods list, she was not even in the top 5, top 6, or even top 9. Her name was written on the 10th place, the last place on the list. Did they make a mistake? Lang Chunwan was a little angry. Because there was no indication of the chaos points obtained by the individual after each name, Lang Chunwan subconsciously thought that the ultimate experts had made a mistake. Of course, She only had this thought in an instant. She knew very well that the ultimate experts would not make a mistake. Even a group of ultimate experts' descendants would scramble for the upgraded Chaos Realms ranking list reward. Not to mention others, even those ultimate experts would not make a mistake on the ranking list. Furthermore, under their joint supervision, no one would be able to cheat for personal gain. Otherwise, when her little junior brother Duan Lingtian knew that the upgraded Chaos Realm was about to open, he would not be hunted down by a group of ultimate experts' descendants. It was because those ultimate experts' descendants knew that no one would be able to cheat for personal gain in the upgraded Chaos Realms ranking list that they did so. As long as they killed Duan Lingtian, they would have one less strong competitor. If it's really the young master is still alive. In another planar battlefield, in a military camp, 3 women were gathered together. Among them, the woman with delicate features, who was overshadowed by the other 2 beautiful women beside her, looked at the name in the sky, and a relieved smile appeared on her face. At this moment, the other 2 women beside her also revealed flower-like smiles on their faces. The 3 women were Jingru, Bai Yao, and Xiaolan. They came out of the upgraded Chaos Realm before it closed. It was because of that they were able to gather together. If they waited for the upgraded Chaos Realm to send them out, they would be separated into 3 different places after they came out, even if they were gathered together inside. They did not enter the upgraded Chaos Realm to explore the upgraded Chaos Realm. They only wanted to go in and find out more about Duan Lingtian. With their current strength, they did not dare to imagine how strong they would be in the past. However, if they were to explore the upgraded Chaos Realm, they would be in trouble in just a few days. They had only decided to enter the realm battlefield after they heard about Duan Lingtian. They wanted to confirm if the Duan Lingtian was the Duan Lingtian they knew. After they went to the upgraded Chaos Realm, they were able to confirm it. The Duan Lingtian was the Duan Lingtian they knew. Moreover, he was safe and sound. It's good that he's fine. It's good that he's fine. Whether it was Bai Yao or Xiaolan, at this moment, both of them revealed a relieved smile on their faces. The huge rock that had been hanging in their hearts had also been lifted. Little Tian. Feng Qingyang stood on top of a dangerous peak as he looked at the sky with a smile on his face. At the same time, he looked down and sighed. Although I'm in the top 3, I didn't manage to squeeze into the 2nd place. Originally, Feng Qingyang thought that if his disciple, Duan Lingtian, was the 1st place on the overall ranking, he would be able to get into the 2nd place. He did not expect that he would only get into the 3rd place. The person in the 2nd place is actually a medium ultimate god. I wonder if this person's strength is stronger than little Tian's 2nd senior brother in the 10,000 Laws Palace's inner palace. Feng Qingyang was ranked 3rd on the overall ranking. There was a medium ultimate god in front of him who was ranked 2nd on the overall ranking. Master. As for Duan Lingtian, at this moment, when he saw he was ranked 1st on the overall ranking, he was not surprised at all. After all, this was within his expectations. If he was surpassed, perhaps he would truly feel pleasantly surprised. However, he did not expect that there was another familiar person in the top 3 of the overall ranking. It was his master, Feng Qingyang. When he saw the name Feng Qingyang, he knew that it must be his master. There was no one else. He had heard that there was a powerful sword cultivator among the upper god emperors. He guessed that it was his master at that time, and confirmed it now. However, I didn't expect that even with master strength, he would only be ranked 3rd on the overall ranking. The person in the 2nd place on the overall ranking must be one of the best among the medium ultimate gods. Duan Lingtian looked at the name in the 2nd place and murmured to himself. The person in 2nd place was a medium ultimate god from the floating land, Yuxinsher. He knew very well that unless one was an extremely strong medium ultimate god, it would be unrealistic to monopolize the secret realm where medium ultimate gods gathered. The fact that he was ranked 2nd on the overall ranking meant that he was very strong. Even among the top medium ultimate gods, he must be one of the best. Perhaps he had encountered a top medium ultimate god in the secret realm, but even if they joined forces with the rest, they were still no match for him. This person's strength. I'm afraid he's above a group of top medium ultimate gods. Maybe he's recognized as the top medium ultimate god in the god-defying realm? Duan Lingtian knew that he was recognized as the top medium ultimate god in the god-defying realm. However, he did not know that his first senior sister Huangfu Menyuan was called the top medium ultimate god in the god-defying realm by the absolute experts. He also did not know that his second senior brother Hong Yifeng was called the top medium ultimate god in the god-defying realm by the absolute experts. He had not entered any military camp before coming out of the upgraded chaos territory. He was mainly worried that someone would know that he had entered a military camp and ambush him near it. After leaving the military camp, although he appeared in different places, he was still near the military camp. As long as there were enough people, it would be difficult for him to escape the pursuit of others. But how should I receive the rewards for the overall ranking and the ranking of the same realm? Suddenly, Duan Lingtian thought of this problem. From the beginning to the end, the absolute experts who announced the opening of the upgraded chaos territory and the various ranking rewards of the upgraded chaos territory did not seem to have told them how to redeem the rewards. Although they didn't say, they shouldn't go back on their words, right? As soon as this thought appeared, Duan Lingtian suppressed it as he felt that he was overthinking. Even absolute experts would want to save face. Moreover, this time, there must be some absolute experts' descendants on the ranking list. If the absolute experts who initiated the upgraded chaos territory reneged on their words, the other absolute experts would not let it go. Chapter 43:30. Also, didn't I enter the dimensional battlefield as someone from the world of divine offering? Didn't I enter the chaos territory, or even the upgraded version of the chaos territory? Why does the overall ranking list and the lower ultimate god ranking list show that I'm a lower ultimate god from the Xinjiang land? This was something Duan Lingtian did not realize at first. He only regained his senses after a while. He had entered the dimensional battlefield from the world of divine offering. In the dimensional battlefield, the chaos territory, and the upgraded version of the chaos territory, he had also participated in the secret realm competition as someone from the world of divine offering. The people he met in the secret realm were basically from the world of divine offering. There was even one time when half of the people he met in the secret realm were from the Xinjiang land, but his identity was still from the world of divine offering. However, the overall ranking list and the lower ultimate god ranking list clearly stated that he was a lower ultimate god from the Xinjiang land. Is it because it's my first time entering the dimensional battlefield as someone from the Xinjiang land? Or is it because everyone knows that I'm from the Myriad Law Palace in the Xinjiang land? At this moment, Duan Lingtian had thousands of questions in his heart. Of course, what he cared about the most now was how the ultimate experts would fulfill their promise and give him the ranking list reward. That was the most important thing. Also, third senior brother, is he on the ranking list? After seeing his ranking, Duan Lingtian, who was quite satisfied with his ranking, looked at the medium ultimate god ranking list again, trying to find his third senior brother's name. However, as he searched, he did not see his third senior brother's name. He's not on the ranking list? Third senior brother? This is too bad, isn't it? The first on the medium ultimate god ranking list was the medium ultimate god ranked second on the overall ranking list, Yu Xinsher from the floating land. However, he did not see his third senior brother Yang Yuchin's name in the next 9. When I get out and see third senior brother, I can make fun of him. Duan Lingtian's lips curled into a faint smile. Fourth senior sister, on the other hand, although she came in later, she's ranked 10th on the lower ultimate god ranking list. Moreover, she's only a nomological clone who came in to fight for the ranking list. If it was me, I might be able to improve further. This time, I'm afraid that not only will third senior brother be mocked by me, fourth senior sister will definitely not give up this opportunity to mock him. That's not right. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian recalled something. Third senior apprentice brother said that second senior apprentice brother has been in the planar battlefield all this time. He should be participating in this upgraded version of the Chaos Realms rankings. He's actually not on the list? According to third senior brother, the second senior brother whom he had yet to meet was stronger than third senior brother. Logically speaking, the second senior brother should be even stronger now. Moreover, he had been on the planar battlefield for a long time. He didn't lack battle merits, and his foundation was better than third senior brother's. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have failed to enter the top 10. It seems like second senior brother is either unlucky, or his strength is only Hoso. This was also the thought that appeared in Duan Ling Tian's mind at this moment. Of course, he had no intention of looking down on that second senior brother. It was purely a simple thought in his heart. But Ning Yishuan is also very strong. He just became a medium ultimate god not long ago, but he's already ranked 5th. On the medium ultimate gods list, Ning Yishuan's name was ranked 5th. Although he did not enter the top 3, it was actually not bad. After all, Ning Yishuan had just become a medium ultimate god not long ago. While Duan Ling Tian was thinking that Ning Yishuan's ranking was not bad, in another part of the divine adjudication battlefield, above a forest, Ning Yishuan was standing unscrupulously in the air. His expression was not very good. I didn't even enter the top 3? Just now, Ning Yishuan's attention was attracted by Duan Ling Tian's ranking. First place on the overall list. First place on the lower ultimate gods list. He was not surprised that Duan Ling Tian had made it to first place on the lower ultimate gods list. However, he was a little surprised that he had also made it to first place on the overall list. At the same time, he was a little disappointed after looking at the top 3 names on the overall list. He was not included. Originally, when he looked at the overall list, he thought that even if he did not make it to the top 3, he would still have a high chance of making it to the top 3 on the medium ultimate gods list. Of course, there was no hope for first place. This was because the second place on the overall list was also a medium ultimate god. I'm only 5th. I'm so far behind Duan Ling Tian. Ning Yishuan's expression gradually became gloomy. After a while, he calmed down a little. However, soon, his attention fell on the first place on the medium ultimate gods list and the second place on the overall list. A medium ultimate god from the floating land, Yu Xianshi. I've never heard of this person before. I've heard that there's a giant ultimate god clan in the floating land, the Yu clan. Could this Yu Xianshi be from the Yu clan? Ning Yishuan could not help but think to himself. However, if he's from the Yu clan, it's impossible for him to be unknown. Could he be a hidden genius from the Yu clan? However, with the Yu clan's foundation, is there a need to hide such a genius? The current Ning Yishuan was very confused about this. In fact, Ning Yishuan was not the only one who was confused. Even the descendants of other supreme experts and top experts from various planes of gods were also very confused. This was because they had never heard of this Yu Xianshi before. A genius from the Yu clan? Never heard of him. There's such a person in the Yu clan? However, what was unexpected was that even many people from the Yu clan in the floating land were very confused. Yu Xianshi? Is he from the Yu clan? We don't have such a person in the Yu clan, right? Of course, there were also a few older experts from the Yu clan whose expressions changed drastically. Could it be that child from back then? That child who was abandoned by the Yu clan? The older experts from the Yu clan who thought of that secret changed their expressions one after another. If it was that child, the Yu clan would really be humiliated this time. Even the strongest ancestor behind the Yu family might fly into a rage because of this. After all, that ancestor did not know about that incident back then. While many people were confused about the identity of Yu Xianshi, who was ranked 2nd on the overall list, Duan Ling Tian did not feel anything. This was because even if Yu Xianshi was famous, it was normal that he had not heard of him. After all, he really did not know much about the geniuses of the floating land. Currently, he was still confused about how those supreme experts would distribute the rewards for the upgraded version of the Chaos Regions list. Will they wait until they return to the Mystic Handle Land and find me at the Law Palace? Or will they directly find me at the Dimensional Battlefield to receive their rewards? The other rewards are fine. They can be given to me in person at any time. But to take a bath in the Divine Corrupting Spring, they can't give me the entire Divine Corrupting Spring, right? I should go to a specific place to take a bath, right? Chapter 43:31. Duan Ling Tian knew very well that it was basically impossible for him to get an entire pool of divine corporeal spring water. Otherwise, the other party would not have said that the person who ranked first on the overall leaderboard could take a bath in the divine corporeal spring water. If they were really willing to give it to him, They could have just said that the reward was a pool of divine corporeal spring water. Why did they have to say that the reward was a bath? Of course, Duan Lingtian still had a headache about how to claim the reward. Next, he naturally hoped to go to the Xia family in the world of divine, offering to see if Kerr had returned to the Xia family. Then, after confirming that Kerr was safe, he would return to the Myriad Arts Academy in the Xingang land. As for rescuing Kerr, naturally, he would have to wait until he claimed the reward this time. The reward this time would be an important turning point in his life. Whether he could use this opportunity to advance further and even become a medium ultimate god depended entirely on this opportunity. It can't be that I'm going to claim the reward in there, right? If that's the case, can I choose when to claim the reward for taking a bath in the divine corporeal spring water? After all, I still have something important to do. For Duan Lingtian, the most important thing now was to go to the world of divine, offering to confirm if his wife, Kerr, had returned to the Xia family. If she had not returned, he would wait for the dimensional battlefield to close and see if his wife, Kerr, had returned to the Xia family. If he entered the divine corporeal spring water before that, he did not know how much time he would have to waste. By then, he might miss the best time to rescue his wife. Although the reward of the divine corporeal spring water was good and might allow him to reach the top in a single bound, to him, his wife was more important than anything else. All these years, he had fought so hard to become stronger. Why? Was it not to save his wife? He had always been fighting for this goal. If it's really here and I'm welcomed by that supreme expert, maybe I can ask him for a favor. This way, it won't affect my chances of getting the reward this time, and it won't affect Kerr's safety. Duan Lingtian knew very well that once the planar battlefield closed and the Xia family really threatened Kerr, Kerr would very likely go to extremes at the critical moment. Now, the Xia family no longer had any bargaining chips that could restrain Kerr. The bargaining chips that could restrain Kerr and his family had all been released by the third master of the Xia family, Xia Jia. If it really came to that, with his understanding of Kerr, Kerr would definitely not compromise. Even if he had to die again, he would not compromise. And this was not what he wanted to see. Let's leave this battlefield first and return to the world of divine remains. After making up his mind, Duan Lingtian prepared to leave the battlefield and return to the world of divine remains. He would go to the Xia family and inquire about Kerr. I wonder if the nearby military camp is far away. What Duan Lingtian needed to do next was naturally to find a military camp and teleport out. Although the Chaos Realm had closed, the planar battlefield was still open, and there was still some time before it closed. Also, if Kerr is still in the planar battlefield, and she knows that I came from the Myriad Law Academy in the Xingang land, she might go to the Myriad Law Academy to look for me. If there's no news about Kerr in the world of divine remains, I'll return to the Xingang land and Myriad Law Academy through the planar battlefield. Who knows, I might be able to reunite with Kerr in the Myriad Law Academy. When he thought of this, Duan Lingtian's heart burned with passion, and he became even more eager to find a military camp nearby. However, not long after he flew out, he suddenly felt the space in front of him tremble. If he was an ordinary person who was proficient in other laws, he might not have been able to react so quickly, but he was proficient in the law of space. Then, Duan Lingtian saw the trembling space in front of him suddenly distort and fold, and then a figure walked out of the folded space without tearing it apart. It was as if the matter that had extended from the space had turned into the person in front of him. It was a middle-aged man with an unruly look, a resolute face, and a solemn expression. He walked slowly in the air toward Duan Lingtian. He looked like an ordinary person, but Duan Lingtian felt that this person's existence made him feel somewhat pressured. At this moment, the tree of life in his small world began to tremble, and he was so frightened that he hurriedly sealed the small world in his body. This is an ultimate powerhouse. At this moment, Duan Lingtian confirmed the other party's identity. In the past, even the projection of the Ning family's ultimate powerhouse behind Ning Yishuan had not given the tree of life in his small world so much pressure. However, the person in front of him made the tree of life in his small world somewhat restless. At the same time, a gentle voice sounded in his body before he completely sealed the small world in his body. "Little Tian? What's going on? Where are you?" How did you encounter the ultimate powerhouse's true body? It was the ultimate powerhouse's true body. The voice belonged to the world-cleansing divine water. The world-cleansing divine water was born next to a divine tree of life in a realm of gods. It was the divine tree of life in his body. The divine tree of life used to belong to another supreme expert who ruled over a realm of gods during that era. He was one of the strongest ultimate powerhouses in the godly defiance realm. For this reason, the world-cleansing divine water was much more experienced than the ordinary 5 divine elements. The ultimate powerhouse's true body. Although Duan Lingtian had already guessed the identity of the person in front of him, he was still shocked by the world-cleansing divine water's words. It was the ultimate powerhouse's true body. It was not the projection of his true body, but his true body. Duan Lingtian greets Senior. Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. He then cupped his hands and bowed respectfully to the person in front of him. It was the ultimate powerhouse's true body. Such an existence could kill Jian Wushuang with just a breath. It was not difficult for Jian Wushuang to guess why the person would appear in front of him. The person must be here to redeem the first place on the Chaos Territory's overall list and the lower Ultimate God list. Jian Wushuang's heart was filled with bitterness. What he did not want to happen had finally happened. As a result, a wisp of bitterness appeared on the corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth. At this moment, the middle-aged supreme powerhouse nodded at Duan Lingtian with a calm gaze. When he saw the bitterness on Duan Lingtian's lips, he was stunned for a moment before he said calmly, "I'm sure you've guessed my intention. If that's the case, why do you still feel bitter?" The middle-aged man asked bluntly. He could not understand why Jian Wushuang felt bitter. Senior. Duan Lingtian did not hide the truth as there was no need for him to do so. He might need to ask for a favor from the other party. Of course, Jian Wushuang did not want to do so if he could. Even if the other party was an ultimate powerhouse, he might not need Jian Wushuang's favor. What about in the future? Duan Lingtian did not think that he would stop at the upper ultimate god level. He would definitely become an ultimate powerhouse. I wonder if I can choose when to bathe in the divine corporeal spring. Also, can you give me the other things in advance? The moment Duan Lingtian opened his mouth, he asked 2 consecutive questions. The middle-aged man's face was no longer calm. He frowned slightly and asked, "You still have things to do? Can't you leave?" "Yes." Duan Lingtian nodded. The middle-aged man's face flashed with displeasure when he heard Jian Wushuang's answer. Even he was envious of the opportunity to bathe in the divine corporeal spring. However, Jian Wushuang was not enthusiastic at all. Of course, the middle-aged man did not make a decision immediately. He immediately asked the person behind him, "Sir?" The middle-aged man explained the situation he was facing to the people behind him. The person behind him quickly responded, "Tell him that he can only enjoy the reward if he baths in the divine corporeal spring now. Otherwise, he'll be disqualified. We gave him such a good opportunity, but he didn't cherish it. Instead, he's dragging his feet." Although the young man's tone did not carry any anger, it was clear that he could not understand Jian Wushuang's decision. After receiving Duan Lingtian's reply, he looked at Duan Lingtian and said indifferently, "I can give you the other rewards now. However, as for the reward for bathing in the divine corporeal spring, you can come with me and enjoy it. Otherwise, you can give up. The choice is up to you," the middle-aged man said. Duan Lingtian's expression changed drastically when he heard this. The thing that he did not want to see the most had finally happened. After his expression changed greatly, he became uncertain again. In the end, Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn, as though he had made an important decision. "Senior." Duan Lingtian looked at the middle-aged man and said sincerely, "I, Duan Lingtian, rarely ask for help in my life. I wonder if you can do me a favor and do me a favor? This is very important to me. If Senior is willing to help, I, Duan Lingtian, will definitely repay this favor in the future. It's fine if Senior is not willing to help. However, I think I'll have to give up the chance to bathe in the divine corporeal spring." Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn when he reached the end of his sentence. When the middle-aged man heard Duan Lingtian's words, he frowned again. This fellow in front of him actually wanted to give up the chance to bathe in the divine corporeal spring for a favor? Could it be that he didn't know that even if such a precious opportunity was placed in the hands of a group of supreme experts, that group of supreme experts would still fight to the death for it? However, out of curiosity, he still wanted to ask what Duan Lingtian wanted him to help with. He still thought highly of this genius of the younger generation, Duan Lingtian. If it was something that he could help with, it was not impossible for him to help Duan Lingtian and form a good relationship with him. What do you want me to help with? The middle-aged man asked. Of course, he could not help with everything. He would only help Duan Lingtian if it was within his capabilities and did not violate the rules of the realm battlefield. When Duan Lingtian heard this, his eyes lit up. If the middle-aged man said this, it meant that there was a chance. Chapter 43:32. It's still too early to celebrate. Duan Lingtian was overjoyed for a moment before he calmed down. After all, the middle-aged man had not decided whether he was willing to help him. This was related to the two great clans in the world of divine remains, the Xia clan and the Yun clan. Moreover, both clans had omnipotent experts. Although the matter between him and Kerr might not necessarily alarm the omnipotent experts, the middle-aged man in front of him might not be willing to offend two clans with omnipotent experts behind them for his sake. After taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and said solemnly, "Elder, this is what happened." Duan Lingtian did not intend to hide anything from the omnipotent expert. He told the middle-aged man the story between him and his wife. Of course, he did not mention Yun Qingyan. He only said that the Xia clan looked down on him. He was also worried that the omnipotent expert before him might be on good terms with the omnipotent expert behind the Yun clan and refuse to help him. The reason he asked the omnipotent expert to help him was simple. He wanted to confirm whether Kerr had returned to the Xia clan. After confirming that Kerr had returned to the Xia clan, the omnipotent expert would tell Kerr about his current situation. He wanted to let Kerr know that he had a chance to save her from the abyss of suffering. All in all, the story Duan Lingtian told the omnipotent expert was both true and false. The truth was that he had feelings for his wife, Kerr, and the reason why he had grown so quickly was because he wanted to save his wife, Kerr. In addition, when he separated from Kerr, he said that the Xia clan looked down on him. This time, he hoped that the omnipotent expert would go to the Xia clan and let them know of his existence. He hoped that the Duan Lingtian in the dimensional battlefield would be the husband of the Xia clan's young mistress, Xianing Xue, in this life. As for the Yun clan, he only said a few words casually. He said that the Xia clan intended to let his wife marry into the Yun clan. As for the Yun family's marriage partner, he didn't say anything. His request was simple. He just had to confirm that his wife, Kerr, had returned to the Xia family. He also had to inform Kerr about his current strength and situation. He also had to inform Kerr that their family and friends were safe and sound. Under such circumstances, he believed that with Kerr's intelligence, she would definitely know how to stall for time and wait for him to openly pick her up from the Xia family home. As for the middle-aged man, after listening to Duan Lingtian's series of words, he was actually a little speechless. At the same time, he felt a little tired. He was a supreme powerhouse, an extremely powerful existence. Yet the other party actually wanted him to run errands? To think that he had thought that this Duan Lingtian had some sort of difficult matter that he needed his help with. He had even thought that if it was too difficult, he would reject Duan Lingtian. But in the end, he was only asked to run errands? I wonder, Senior, are you willing to help? Duan Lingtian looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and said solemnly, "No problem." This time, the middle-aged man did not ask the person behind him because he knew that the person behind him would definitely not stop him from helping Duan Lingtian. Moreover, he had his own selfish motives. Based on the talent and strength that Duan Lingtian had displayed so far, as long as he did not die prematurely, he was destined to rise in the future. In the future, when he became a supreme powerhouse, he would most likely be the strongest among the supreme powerhouses in the god-defying realm. Furthermore, Duan Lingtian had also said that he would repay this favor with gusto in the future. If this kind of errand work could be exchanged for Duan Lingtian's repayment with gusto, it was too worth it. Duan Lingtian is extremely grateful that Senior is willing to help. In the future, I will definitely not let Senior regret this favor. Duan Lingtian quickly expressed his gratitude after receiving confirmation from the supreme powerhouse in front of him. In his opinion, this favor might be a piece of cake in the eyes of the supreme powerhouse in front of him. It was just an errand work, however. It was very important to him because it concerned the safety of his wife, Kerr. Now, can you follow me to the place where the divine corporeal spring is? The middle-aged man looked at Duan Lingtian and asked, when you enter the divine corporeal spring, I will go to the Xia family in the world of divine remains to find your wife and tell her what you said to me. If she is not in the Xia family, as long as she is still in the battlefield of the gods' adjudication, as long as you and the Xia family know the name that she might have used, I can help you find her. The middle-aged man said. The last sentence was said because he felt that the favor that Duan Lingtian asked of him was too simple, and he felt a little apologetic. For him, it was not too difficult to find a person in the battlefield of the gods' adjudication, as long as the person did not use a pseudonym that other people close to him did not know. Thank you, Senior. Duan Lingtian thanked him profusely. At the same time, he felt more at ease and felt that this supreme powerhouse was very reliable. If there was a chance in the future, he would repay him well. Soon after, Duan Lingtian received the other rewards from the middle-aged man and followed him, preparing to leave. He watched as the middle-aged man waved his hand and the scene in front of him changed. Then, he realized that his entire body was enveloped by a force and was being carried through the air rapidly. Then, there was the sound of the wind. However, the scene in front of him became completely blurry. It was colorful and even a little distorted. Nothing could be seen clearly, and nothing could be seen clearly. Is this because he's fast? Or is it because of the space we're traveling through right now, and the scenery between spaces is like this? At this moment, Duan Lingtian could not recognize what was going on. Soon after, the middle-aged man's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears again. After the span of 3 breaths, another force will descend on you. At that time, there's no need for you to resist. Just go along with it. It will bring you to the place where the divine corporeal spring is. I'm only responsible for bringing you here. I don't care about what happens after that, the middle-aged man said. When Duan Lingtian heard that, he was mentally prepared. At the same time, he felt that as the number 1 on the overall ranking board, he was given a lot of face. And Supreme Powerhouse had brought him here, and another person was going to bring him to the place where the divine corporeal spring was. This must be another Supreme Powerhouse, right? I'm just a lower ultimate god, and 2 Supreme Powerhouses are going to bring me here personally? Even though Duan Lingtian had experienced countless storms along the way, at this moment, he still could not help but feel elated in the depths of his heart. 3 breaths passed in the blink of an eye. Soon, a force swept over. It gave Duan Lingtian the feeling that it was gentler and more domineering than the middle-aged man's force. Gentler and domineering. The 2 contradictory words merged at this moment. The combination of contradictions gave Duan Lingtian an indescribable feeling. Try your best to absorb the divine corporeal spring for your cultivation. You only have 1 chance. Once you can no longer absorb the divine corporeal spring, you'll be sent out. When another force attacked him and the force from the middle-aged man left, Duan Lingtian heard a kind reminder. Suddenly, a cold snort was heard. Duan Lingtian felt the world spinning around him. He was in a daze as though he had fallen into a half-asleep state. He felt as though he had entered a dream. In other words, he felt as though he was dreaming at this moment, especially when he heard a faint voice behind him. It made him even more certain that he was dreaming. Sir, he could vaguely recognize that it was the middle-aged Supreme Powerhouse's voice. Because of that, he felt as though he was dreaming. He must be dreaming. That was a Supreme Powerhouse. What kind of person was qualified for him to address him as Sir? A Supreme Powerhouse had to address someone else as Sir? This must be a joke. He must be dreaming. Almost at the same time when Duan Lingtian thought he was dreaming, the middle-aged man who received him appeared in an endless void. A small courtyard with a gazebo was suspended in the endless void. It gave off a hollow feeling. At this moment, the middle-aged man landed in the small courtyard in front of the gazebo. He bowed respectfully, not daring to raise his head to look at the young man dressed in white in the gazebo. Why did he suddenly change his mind? The young man in white asked nonchalantly. Upon hearing the young man's question, the middle-aged man quickly told him everything Duan Lingtian had asked him to do. At the same time, he also mentioned the Xia clan and Yun clan in the Divine Offering Land. For the sake of his wife, he went from a low-level mundane realm to a realm of gods in less than 1,000 years and even entered the ultimate god realm? The young man's eyes gleamed when he heard the middle-aged man's words. I didn't expect him to be such a sentimental young man. I don't quite understand it either. The middle-aged man shook his head. Umph. The young man snorted coldly. I'm afraid you haven't even touched a woman's hand since you were born, right? It's only natural that you don't understand. The middle-aged man's expression froze when he heard the young man's words. He could not help but mutter inwardly, You speak as if you've touched a woman's hand before. What are you muttering in your heart? The young man's words rang out once again, causing the middle-aged man's expression to change greatly. Did the young man see through his thoughts? If that was the case, how powerful was the young man in front of him? Had he improved again? I can't tell what you're thinking. The young man saw the middle-aged man's expression and said nonchalantly, It's just a guess. Now, are you wondering if my strength has improved again? The middle-aged man's heart skipped a beat when he heard the young man's words. At the same time, he was confused. Did the young man really improve? Did he just guess what was on his mind? Go ahead. After a while, the young man said nonchalantly, Make a trip to the Xia clan in the Divine Offering Land and the Yun clan in the Divine Offering Land. Find out the ins and outs of this matter. I have a feeling that everything he told you doesn't make sense in some places. Perhaps there's something he didn't tell you. Go and confirm it yourself. Then, come back and tell me. I also want to know. After so many years in the godly defiance realm, the first person to step into the ultimate god realm within 1,000 years. What kind of belief supported him all the way to this step? Chapter 43:33. Duan Lingtian felt like he was in a dream and did not suspect that the dream was fake. Because if this dream was fake, then it would be too frightening. A supreme expert, a high and mighty existence, in this world, had to respectfully address another person as Sir? This completely overturned his understanding of the world. Therefore, he concluded that what he heard was a dream. It was fake and could not be real. Soon after, Duan Lingtian fell into a semi-conscious state. Then, he felt a cool sensation around him. When he opened his eyes again, he discovered he was already in a cave. At the same time, the force that was suppressing his divine power had completely disappeared. He regained his consciousness. At the same time, he also regained control of his body. However, everything in the cave dwelling was sealed except for a spring located in a corner of the cave dwelling. The scent of the spring water made him feel relaxed and happy. He even felt that the 99 heavenly veins in his body were instantly unblocked. His divine power was rippling in the heavenly veins as if it had a mind of its own. At this moment, even Duan Lingtian did not expect the bottleneck that had been preventing him from stabilizing his cultivation base to the lesser ultimate god stage would be broken at this moment. It was mysteriously broken. Just like that, his cultivation base was completely consolidated without any cultivation. My lower ultimate god cultivation base is completely consolidated just like that? At that moment, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel that the turbulent divine power in his heavenly veins had begun to calm down. After calming down, the feeling that it gave him was obviously different from before. It had completely stabilized. It was completely different from before, when it was still a little restless. Now, he felt like he could move his divine power as easily as if it was his own arm. It was a completely different feeling from before when he could not fully control it. It's really completely consolidated. I really didn't expect this. Duan Lingtian really did not expect that his cultivation base, which had not been consolidated for a long time in the upgraded version of the Chaos Realm in the dimensional battlefield, would instantly be consolidated in this place. Of course, after being stunned for a while, he was overjoyed. After all, this was a good thing. This is the god-corrupting spring? In the next moment, Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up as he stared at the spring water in the corner of the cave. This seemingly ordinary spring water was no different from a supreme treasure in his eyes. Hearing about it and witnessing it with one's own eyes were two completely different concepts. He had already obtained the divine corporeal spring earlier. The reward for the first place on the lower ultimate god ranking list was the divine corporeal spring. However, it was kept in a bottle, and he did not open it, nor did he have time to look at it. Therefore, he had no idea what it was. After he obtained the bottle containing the god's corrupting spring, he was brought here directly by the middle-aged supreme expert. He did not even have the time to open it to take a look. At this moment, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but take out the bottle from his storage ring. When he opened the bottle, he noticed a similar aura escaping from inside. This bottle contained a lot of divine corporeal spring water. However, in front of the god-corrupting spring, it was insignificant. They were on completely different levels and concepts. This bottle has a hidden space, similar to a storage ring. It feels like it can store a lot of divine corrupting spring water. With this thought, Duan Lingtian's gaze fell on the god-corrupting spring water not far away. His eyes lit up as he stared at the god-corrupting spring water, thinking of collecting some god-corrupting spring water to fill the bottle. If I were to take a bath, I wouldn't need so much god-corrupting spring water, right? Although the reward for the first place on the lower ultimate god ranking list was considered a lot of god-corrupting spring water, it was insignificant compared to the god-corrupting spring water in the pool. At the same time, Duan Lingtian also felt that even if he were to take a bath, he would not need so much god-corrupting spring water. Collecting some god-corrupting spring water should not affect his bath, right? I wonder if I can collect the god-corrupting spring water inside. If I can I take away the rest of the god-corrupting spring water after my bath? Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian felt that it was too unrealistic and impossible. If that was the case, then the reward for the first place on the Chaos Zone's overall ranking list would not be a bath in the god-corrupting spring water, but an entire pool of god-corrupting spring water. Although Duan Lingtian felt that he could not collect the god-corrupting spring water, he could not help but want to try. What if he could? What if the expert behind him did not mind collecting some god-corrupting spring water before he took a bath? Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian walked to the side of the god-corrupting spring water. At that moment, he could feel the god-corrupting spring's aura. At that moment, he felt a wave of comfort all over his body. The divine power in his body was slightly boiling, and his progress was much faster than when he used divine elixirs to cultivate. After all, he had not even started cultivating yet. No wonder they say that even a drop of god-corrupting spring water is a treasure. Now, I'm standing in front of a pool of god-corrupting spring water. How many drops of god-corrupting spring water are there in terms of drops? Duan Lingtian stared at the god-corrupting spring water in front of him and could not help but inwardly suck in a breath of cold air. Of course, Duan Lingtian did not forget his earlier thoughts. He squatted down and took out the bottle, intending to collect the god-corrupting spring water in the god-corrupting spring water. However, just as he was about to make a move, an invisible barrier suddenly rippled like water and blocked Duan Lingtian's movements. Following that, an indifferent voice sounded, "Your reward is to take a bath in the god-corrupting spring water. During the bath, you can absorb the god-corrupting spring water without any restrictions. Even if you can absorb all the god-corrupting spring water in the god-corrupting spring water, I have no objections. However, during the bath, you are not allowed to collect a single drop of god-corrupting spring water. Since it's your first offense and I didn't warn you, I won't hold it against you this time. In the future, if you secretly collect even a drop of god-corrupting spring water, I'll expel you from the god-corrupting spring water and revoke the ultimate expert godhead reward that originally belonged to you." Although Duan Lingtian had previously received a reward from the middle-aged supreme expert, it was only the reward of being ranked first on the lower ultimate god ranking list. As for the reward of being ranked first on the overall ranking list, he had yet to receive it. He had yet to receive the ultimate expert godhead as well. According to the middle-aged supreme expert, the ultimate expert godhead would be given to him after he finished bathing in the god-corrupting spring water. Moreover, The person who gave him the ultimate expert godhead was someone else. Upon hearing the other party's indifferent words, Duan Lingtian did not dare to doubt the other party's words and hurriedly apologized. Senior, I'm sorry. I didn't know I couldn't collect the god-corrupting spring water here. Oomph. If you knew, do you think I wouldn't hold it against you? The voice was heard again. This time, it was a cold humph. The voice was not loud, but it made Duan Lingtian's soul tremble slightly at that moment. At that moment, Duan Lingtian realized how powerful the owner of the voice was. He could not see the other party, nor sense the other party's presence. Just a cold humph was enough to make his soul tremble. Was this the power of a supreme expert? Senior. After taking a deep breath to calm himself down, Duan Lingtian asked, "Is there a limit to how long I can bathe in the god-corrupting spring water?" He wanted to know if there was a time limit to how long he could bathe in the god-corrupting spring water. You want to know about the time limit, right? The voice was heard again.
Yes.
Duan Lingtian replied, "There is no time limit. However, when you've absorbed enough god-corrupting spring water to a state where you can't absorb any more for 10 days and nights, I'll send you out of the god-corrupting spring water. How much you can absorb will depend on your own ability. Also, I know you have a divine tree of life in your little world. It can be considered a part of your body now, so you can absorb the god-corrupting spring water." Duan Lingtian was not surprised when he heard the other party's words. After all, he had used the divine tree of life when he attacked Ning Yishuan earlier. It was normal for the other party to know about the divine tree of life. Also, the voice was heard again. The 5 divine elements in your body can also absorb the god-corrupting spring water. I won't impose any restrictions on you. When Duan Lingtian heard the other party's words, he realized he was not the only one who could absorb the god-corrupting spring water. Even the divine elements in his body and the divine tree of life could absorb the god-corrupting spring water as well. Duan Lingtian could not help but think to himself, if I absorb all of them, will the god-corrupting spring water not be enough for me to absorb? However, Duan Lingtian soon realized he was overthinking things. When he entered the god-corrupting spring water and opened up his little world to allow the divine tree of life and the divine elements to absorb the god-corrupting spring water, he discovered it was not that easy to absorb the god-corrupting spring water. 1 drop was enough for him to absorb for a long time. In fact, it took him several days to absorb the first drop of god-corrupting spring water. Moreover, he could clearly feel the transformation of his divine energy. It was a very obvious transformation. As for the divine tree of life and the divine elements, although they were also absorbing the god-corrupting spring water, their absorption speed was much slower. Duan Lingtian had a feeling that the god-corrupting spring water was more suitable for him to absorb than the divine tree of life and the divine elements. No wonder the other party is so generous. Duan Lingtian discovered it only took him about a month to absorb more than a dozen drops of god-corrupting spring water. Moreover, his absorption speed was getting faster and faster. At the same time, he discovered it took the divine tree of life and the divine elements a month to absorb 2 drops of god-corrupting spring water. Moreover, their absorption speed was still the same. It did not increase at all. If that's the case, I won't be able to absorb another drop of god-corrupting spring water for 10 days and 10 nights. They won't be able to absorb any more god-corrupting spring water either. However, it's obvious that my absorption speed is getting faster and faster. Could it be that the absorption speed will decrease after a certain point? Chapter 43-34. Although Duan Lingtian knew that the divine corrupting spring was precious and extraordinary, his understanding of it was still limited. The treatment he was enjoying now, even in the myriad realms outside the realm, could only be enjoyed by the direct descendants of the top powerhouses in the top realms. Moreover, only the direct descendants who were valued by those powerhouses could enjoy such treatment. The divine corrupting spring was very rare even in the myriad realms. It was enough to make the top powerhouses of the myriad realms move out and even fight for it. The divine corrupting spring was actually not very useful to the top powerhouses of the myriad realms. Its greatest use was to allow those who were weak and had not yet stepped into the realm of the omnipotent realm to grow rapidly. For any realm in the myriad realms, The power of the new generation was very important because if there were only so many powerhouses and no more, sooner or later, they would die in the time heavenly tribulation as time passed. The time heavenly tribulation was a kind of heavenly tribulation that would appear after a period of time. In the God-defying realm, the 1,000-year heavenly tribulation was actually a kind of time heavenly tribulation. In the God-defying realm, many people were curious whether a person did not need to face the 1,000-year heavenly tribulation after becoming an omnipotent realm. Of course, many people knew that omnipotent realm experts did not need to face the 1,000-year heavenly tribulation. However, just because omnipotent realm experts did not need to face the 1,000-year heavenly tribulation did not mean that they did not need to face any heavenly tribulation. The time heavenly tribulation that omnipotent realm experts faced was not the 1,000-year heavenly tribulation, but the 10,000-year heavenly tribulation. Every 10,000 years, they had to go through a heavenly tribulation test, not only in the God-defying realm, but also in any realm in the myriad realms. The powerhouses had to go through this test. Of course, the current Duan Lingtian definitely did not know this. He did not know what everything he was enjoying now meant. It was not an exaggeration to say that if the omnipotent realm expert who had control of the divine corrupting spring said that no matter who killed Duan Lingtian, he could replace him, the group of omnipotent realm experts in the God-defying realm, as long as they were not alone, basically would not be able to resist killing Duan Lingtian. Continue to cultivate, of course. Although Duan Lingtian did not know what all of this meant in the myriad realms, he still knew that this was a very rare opportunity. If he missed it, it would be gone. It was said that even a single drop of divine corrupting spring water was something that many supreme experts could not take out. Not to mention others, just based on this point, he knew how rare and precious this opportunity was. That supreme expert obviously knows everything about me. The divine tree of life and the 5 divine elements are my most important secrets, but he knows them all. It seems that I was exposed when I attacked Ning Yishuan last time. Although his secrets had been exposed, Duan Lingtian knew that these things were perhaps the most valuable treasures for ordinary people, but to the most powerful beings, it was nothing. Therefore, he was not worried about being discovered. Moreover, if the other party really wanted to do something to him, he wouldn't have been able to survive until now. What I need to do now is to absorb as much of the divine accumulating spring water as I can. If I can absorb all of it, I'm afraid I'll be able to enter the upper ultimate God realm. Now that Duan Lingtian had cultivated for a month, he could clearly feel how helpful the divine accumulating spring water was to him. It was also because of this that he somewhat understood why a group of people were so eager to get into the lower ultimate God list, and even the top 3 of the overall list. They were even willing to pay a huge price to offer a reward for his death. If he were those people, he would not want such benefits to be taken away by an outsider. Duan Lingtian, make good use of this opportunity. Duan Lingtian constantly reminded himself in his heart that he could not slack off, and he must properly cherish this opportunity and grab hold of this opportunity. The flow of time in the space where the divine accumulating spring water is located is different from the outside world. 10 days inside is 1 day outside. Just as Duan Lingtian was about to fully immerse himself in cultivation, the voice sounded again and clearly entered Duan Lingtian's ears. Hearing this, Duan Lingtian was suddenly pleasantly surprised. His heart that was originally hanging in the air was now completely at ease. Originally, although he also cherished this opportunity, he was always worried that he would waste too much time here. Although that supreme expert was willing to help him by going to the Xia clan and the divine offering land to look for Kerr, he was still not completely at ease. In other words, before he saw Kerr, he could not be completely at ease. Now that he knew that the flow of time here was different from the outside world, he immediately felt relieved. The difference in the flow of time was not unfamiliar to him. In fact, when he was still in the mundane plane of the lower secondary plane, he had entered a space where the flow of time was different from the outside world. Of course, at that time, he was still very weak. It was also because he was weak that he could enjoy the difference in the flow of time. I'm already a lower ultimate God. Here, I can still enjoy the difference in the flow of time? Moreover, it's a difference of 10 to 1. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian's heart trembled again. Naturally, he knew what this meant. In the past, when he was still in the mundane plane, he had obtained the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, which contained the change in the flow of time. However, later on, he also found out that the reason the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda was that it contained the law of time. Moreover, the effect of the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda's flow of time was only useful for people with low cultivation base. The more powerful a person was, the less they could enjoy the difference in the flow of time inside. Otherwise, could it be that deities who were above the immortals could also cultivate in the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda with different flow of time? If the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda could really do that, then it was not just a top immortal weapon, but a top divine weapon. In other words, it was an existence above the divine weapon. At the very least, Duan Lingtian had not heard of any divine weapon that could allow existences above the divine level to enter and enjoy the difference in the flow of time. He also knew that even among the group of supreme experts in the God-defying realm, not everyone had the means to allow existences above the ultimate God realm to enter a space with a difference in the flow of time, unless it was a supreme expert who was skilled in the law of time. Of course, even such a statement was just some people's guess. In short, it was very difficult to construct a space where an ultimate God could enter and enjoy the difference in the flow of time. And now, he had entered such a space. Senior. At this time, Duan Lingtian could no longer maintain his calm. Is this a space inside an artifact or a space directly constructed by you? Or is this a space constructed by a senior who is skilled in the law of time? Duan Lingtian was really shocked. The stronger one was, the higher one's vision. The current Duan Lingtian knew very well that the space he was in was very difficult to construct. Even if a supreme expert who was skilled in the law of time could construct a space that could accommodate a lower ultimate god like him, he was afraid that it would not be possible to achieve a time flow rate that was 10 to 1 compared to the outside world. You don't need to know this. The voice sounded again in an indifferent tone. You only need to know that if you enter the medium ultimate god realm in this place, the time flow rate will change from 10 to 1 to 5. If you enter the upper ultimate god realm, the time flow rate here will change to 2 to 1. That's all you need to know. Cultivate well. This kind of opportunity doesn't come by often. The owner of the voice stopped abruptly and did not speak again. Duan Lingtian did not dwell on this issue. Regardless, this is a good thing for me. Before I enter the medium ultimate god realm, the time flow rate here will be 10 to 1 compared to the outside world. As for the medium ultimate god realm, thinking of this, Duan Lingtian thought of the difficulty of his cultivation after entering the lower ultimate god realm and did not have much hope. Even if the divine corrupting spring is good, it might not be able to support my breakthrough to the medium ultimate god realm, right? Of course, if it can really help me enter the medium ultimate god realm, that would be a great thing. As for the upper ultimate god realm, it was not that Duan Lingtian did not have much hope for the upper ultimate god realm, but he did not have any hope at all. He felt that it was impossible and unrealistic. After all, he had only just consolidated his cultivation base at the lower ultimate god realm. He was too far away from the upper ultimate god realm. There was still a long way to go. Duan Lingtian went to receive his reward for being first on the overall ranking list. At the same time, in the various major battlefield, those who ranked on the same level ranking list also received their corresponding rewards. Unlike Duan Lingtian, from the beginning until the end, there was no supreme powerhouse that appeared during the process of these people obtaining their rewards. Only a wave of energy that made their hearts palpitate extended from the void and delivered the rewards they deserved to them. And they also put it into their own storage rings at the first moment. They all used the self-destruction of their storage rings. That was the only way they could ensure their own safety. Now, there were already many people who regretted using their real names in the planar battlefield. Now, many people know that I took 4th place on the Middle God Emperor ranking. The divine corporeal spring in my hands will definitely be targeted by many people. This time, I'll immediately find a secluded place and consume all the divine corrupting spring when I get out. That way, even if they find me again, I won't be in danger. At this moment, many people had already thought of their escape route. At the same time, Lang Chunwon's Maxim clone, who also ranked 10th on the lower ultimate god ranking list, also received a small bottle that contained a drop of divine corrupting spring. If it was in the past, Even a drop of divine corrupting spring would be enough to make Lang Chunwon ecstatic. But now, she was happy for her little junior brother who could soak in the divine corrupting spring and obtain a ridiculous amount of divine corrupting spring. At the same time, she was also a little disappointed. Little junior brother, he's stronger than me after all. Although it was only her Maxim clone who had entered, she knew deep in her heart, even if her original body were to enter the lower Ultimate God ranking list, it would be considered good if she could get into the top 3, let alone the first place on the lower Ultimate God ranking list and the top 3 on the overall ranking list. In the past, she had underestimated the lower Ultimate Gods of the various planes of gods. It was only when the ranking list was revealed that she realized she had been a frog in a well all this time. Chapter 43-35. I didn't get first place? In the planar battlefield formed by the intersection of the floating land and another realm of gods, a young man frowned slightly after receiving his bountiful reward. With my strength, I wouldn't be afraid even if I were to fight against the best of the best among the upper ultimate gods. I didn't expect to lose to a lower ultimate god. But if his strength is really comparable to a peak medium ultimate god like the rumors say, then my loss is not unjustified. This young man was none other than Yu Xianshi, who ranked second on the upgraded Chaos Zone's general board, a medium ultimate god from the floating land. I wonder if the Yu clan will remember me this time. Humph, what the Yu clan owes me back then. One day, I'll get them back one by one. After receiving his reward, the young man, who was Yu Xianshi, immediately went to the nearby military camp and left the dimensional battlefield through the transportation formation and returned to the floating land. At the same time as Yu Xianshi left the dimensional battlefield, Duan Lingtian's third senior brother, Yang Yuchen, also left the mysterious Zen battlefield through the transportation formation in the military camp and returned to the mysterious gangland. Then, he went straight back to the Myriad Law Academy. After returning to the Myriad Law Academy, he went straight to the internal palace to confirm that his fourth junior sister was only a Maxim clone that entered the dimensional battlefield. He was finally relieved. If fourth junior sister had really entered the planar battlefield with her true body, then the independent planar battlefield where the inner palace disciples resided would most likely have been destroyed. The independent dimension required the token of the internal palace's master to support it and an endless supply of divine power. Of course, the amount of divine power required was very little. However, it had to be pure divine power, which was the divine power that flowed out from a person's body. Even an ordinary divine spirit would be able to support the operation of the token. However, it was impossible for them to simply hand the token over to another person because once they obtained the token, they would be able to control all the formations in the independent dimension, including the powerful defensive divine formation and killing formation. It was said that the formation of the independent dimension of the internal palace was personally set up by an ultimate expert. As for the source of power, it was the independent dimension itself. Every time it was consumed, the independent space would become unstable. Because of that, the formation was extremely powerful. It was said that as long as one was not a top-notch high-level ultimate god, one would have a slim chance of surviving if they entered the formation. Fourth junior sister, congratulations. Yang Yuchen congratulated his fourth junior sister, Lang Chunwon. On the other hand, Lang Chunwon looked at Yang Yuchen grumpily. Third senior brother, if you hadn't purposely brought up little junior brother and tricked me into accepting the responsibility of the inner palace, I wouldn't have been at the bottom of the upgraded lower ultimate gods list in the chaos territory. Yang Yuchen felt a little helpless and tired when he heard Lang Chunwon's words. After all, he did not even make it into the top 10 of the medium ultimate gods list. Little junior sister, you can't say that. Yang Yuchen shook his head and said with a smile, think about it. So what if your true body enters? Could he get first place on the lower level ultimate gods list? Could he get first place on the overall list? Do you know that the reason junior brother is able to achieve such good results is because I brought him into the planar battlefield and helped him a lot? If I didn't accompany him into the planar battlefield, he wouldn't have improved so much, and he wouldn't have been able to obtain the number 1 position on the Chaos Realm's upgraded ranking list in such a short time. Think about little junior brother's ranking. Do you still think I'm the one who harmed you? If you think you have too little divine corrupting spring, you can wait for little junior brother to come back and ask him for more. Lang Chunwon's eyes lit up when she heard Yang Yuchin's words. Third senior brother, what you said does make sense. Also, at this time, Yang Yuchin continued, little junior brother, you should know that bounties have been placed everywhere in the planar battlefield's upgraded version of the Chaos Realm, right? Lang Chunwon's face darkened when Yang Yuchin mentioned this topic. She clenched her fists tightly and said, I know, third senior brother. Wait until I'm stronger or first senior sister comes back. Our internal palace will definitely settle the score with them. How dare they bully little junior brother like that? Lang Chunwon gritted her teeth as she spoke. Yang Yuchin's heart sank when he heard this. Doesn't this little miss know that those who put up the bounty are backed by powerful ultimate gods factions? Even if first senior sister comes back and has the strength to suppress all the upper-level ultimate gods, she's nothing in front of an ultimate god expert. Unless first senior sister becomes an ultimate god expert. Since you know about the bounty, I'm sure you know how much danger little junior brother is in, right? Yang Yuchin asked again. Lang Chunwon nodded. She naturally knew how much danger little junior brother was in. It was said that a group of outstanding upper-level ultimate gods were looking for trouble with little junior brother. Fortunately, little junior brother was not found by them. Otherwise, he would have been in deep trouble. Do you know? The reason I'm not on the medium ultimate gods list is that after I found out about little junior brother's bounty, I rushed over immediately whenever I heard about his whereabouts. I wanted to protect little junior brother at the most critical moment. In the process, I was almost killed by Nangong Luyun from the Nangong clan and others. Did you know that? Yang Yuchin's face tensed up as he spoke. What? Lang Chunwon's face changed instantly. Third senior brother. You were almost killed? Yes. Yang Yuchin nodded satisfactorily when he saw Lang Chunwon's expression. Fortunately, second senior brother appeared in the nick of time and saved me. It was also after that second senior brother found out that Duan Lingtian, who was popular in the upgraded version of the chaotic domain name, was our little junior brother. Because of that, second senior brother and I ran to wherever we heard news about little junior brother. Because of that, we gave up the fight for the medium ultimate gods list. At this point, Yang Yuchin sighed. Fourth junior sister, third senior brother knows that it's also because you're not strong enough. Otherwise, you'd definitely be like me and second senior brother, giving up the fight for the ranking of those of the same cultivation level for little junior brother. Let's not talk about this for now. I just hope that fourth junior sister doesn't think that I lied to you when you took on the burden of the inner palace. As long as you want, you can give up the burden at any time. Unfortunately, I can't leave the Inner Palace and Myriad Arts Academy at will to protect little junior brother in the future. Yang Yuchin sighed again at the end of his sentence. His essence, energy, and spirit seemed to be a little sluggish at this moment, as if he had aged a few years. No. Lang Chunwon hurriedly shook her head when she heard that. Third senior brother, that's not what I meant. I really didn't know that you did all this, and second senior brother, third senior brother, you'd better go protect Duan Lingtian and bring little junior brother back safely. Just leave the inner palace to me. I didn't give up the same level list to look for little junior brother like you and second senior brother. It's just as you said, I don't think I have the ability to help little junior brother. I hope you can understand this, third senior brother. Now, Lang Chunwon felt that she had sinned deeply. When second senior brother and third senior brother gave up the fight for the same level list for little junior brother's safety, she was passionate about the fight for the same level list. Although she did that because she felt that she did not have the ability to help little junior brother, she still felt a little ashamed in front of second senior brother. Little junior sister, it's really not necessary. Just leave the inner palace to me. Yang Yuchin sighed. No, I won't give the inner palace to you, Lang Chunwon said firmly. At the same time, she raised her eyebrows and turned her head slightly to look at the void in front of her. Second senior brother, hurry up and persuade second senior brother to stop thinking about regaining control of the inner palace. Since he's handed the inner palace to me, I'll be in charge of the inner palace. Now, I want him to go out and help little junior brother and bring him back safely. Little junior brother now has a precious treasure on him. There must be many people who have their eyes on him. Hong Yifeng's figure appeared in the void in front of them. At first, he was a little confused and did not know what his little junior sister meant. In the next instant, he heard his third junior brother's voice transmission and learned what had just happened. For a moment, he could not help but scold him through voice transmission. "You little rascal, you're even scheming with fourth junior sister. Is it right for you to do this? Forget it. If you're really unwilling to take on this burden, I'll take it on again. Fourth junior sister shouldn't take on this burden." Hong Yifeng shook his head at the end of his voice transmission. Then, he looked at Lang Chunwan and said with a friendly face, "Fourth junior sister, the inner palace has always been under second senior brother's control. Now, let's hand it back to second senior brother. You don't have to take on this burden." Hong Yifeng thought he was being very sincere. However, he was ruthlessly rejected in the next moment. "Second senior brother, weren't you like this before? Is it because you haven't seen little junior brother and don't have any feelings for him, so you don't want to help him? Now, shouldn't you go with third senior brother to look for him and protect him? Go out and look for him, protect him, and don't rush to bring him back. I'll take care of the inner palace. I'll never let our family disappear." Lang Chunwan was so anxious that her eyes were red. Everyone wanted to fight for power with her. Did they want her to look for little junior brother and protect him? She was only a lower ultimate god. When Hong Yifeng saw this, he was completely stunned. Fourth junior sister had been completely led astray by third junior brother, right? What a simple-minded girl. Moreover, she seemed to be hopeless. For a moment, he could not help but stare at third junior brother Yang Yuqin, who looked calm as if nothing had happened. Then, he began to comfort Lang Chunwan. "Junior sister, second senior brother didn't mean it that way. All right, since you're willing to take charge of the inner palace, continue to take charge. Next, I'll go with your third senior brother to look for help and clean up those blind people who want to target our little junior brother around Myriad Jurisprudence Palace." Chapter 43-36. Duan Lingtian, an inner disciple of the 10,000 Laws Palace. He was not even 1,000 years old, but he was already a lower-level Supreme God and ranked first on the lower-level Supreme God ranking list. This news spread like wildfire after the ranking list was released, and it shook the entire region. Those who were not particularly ill-informed had basically heard of this news. When this news spread, those who knew Duan Lingtian were shocked. Those who didn't know Duan Lingtian were so shocked that they couldn't recover for a long time. Who would have thought that he would actually reach this step? The dimensional battlefield was still open. Within the profound Zen battlefield, in a military camp, a beautiful woman and a young woman were standing in a corner. The two women's faces were filled with shock. These two women were none other than Duan Lingtian's mother-in-law, Linghu Renfeng, and his sister-in-law, Linghu Chuyin. In the past, when Linghu Renfeng left the realm of chaos with Linghu Chuyin, she also left the dimensional battlefield, until she heard that Duan Lingtian was being targeted in the upgraded realm of chaos. Because she was worried, she once again brought her daughter into the dimensional battlefield to wait for news. She didn't dare to bring her daughter into the upgraded realm of chaos. Therefore, she could only wait outside for news. After waiting for dozens of years, the result finally came. Her son-in-law, who she had only met once, actually suppressed the geniuses of the various planes and obtained the first place on the ranking list of the upgraded realm of chaos. With the baptism of the divine spring water and the omnipotent divine spark, his future path will definitely be smoother. Although Linghu Renfeng didn't have any feelings for her son-in-law, he was still her daughter's husband. She naturally hoped that he would be better. Moreover, although she didn't have any feelings for her son-in-law, she had a good impression of him. This was because she knew that her son-in-law was able to fight his way from the lower planes to the dimensional battlefield in such a short period of time because of the crisis that her daughter had encountered. It wasn't hard to see that her son-in-law had feelings and a sense of responsibility for her daughter. "Let's go. In the future, we will rely on him to save your sister." Linghu Renfeng glanced at her daughter and sighed. With his current achievements and fame, it won't be difficult for him to save your sister from the abyss of hell. Let's return to the profound Handle land and wait for news from our families. Ling Hu Rinfeng was clear in her heart that as long as her son-in-law reunited with her daughter, he would definitely bring people back to the Ling Hu family in the Xingang land to see her. Her daughter didn't know about her background. However, his son-in-law already knew. Yes, Ling Hu Chuin responded. When she left with Ling Hu Rinfeng, there was envy in the depths of her eyes. It was unknown if she was envious of her brother-in-law's current strength or envious of her sister having such a good husband. At about the same time, in another planar battlefield, 3 beautiful figures vanished into a teleportation formation in the military camp. Princess Xiaolan Xiaojia, if it really is the young master, he's safe and sound now. You can rest assured. The 3 women were none other than Jingru, Biyao, and Xiaolan. Even the current Duan Lingtian did not expect there to be so many old friends who were worried about his safety in the various planar battlefields. In the Divine Offering Land, Yun Tingfeng, the patriarch of the Yun family, returned to the Yun residence with an ugly expression. Not only was Duan Lingtian not dead, but he had also taken the first place on the Lesser Supreme God ranking in the upgraded version of the Chaos Territory. With his talent and such a great opportunity, he would definitely be able to grow rapidly in a short period of time. If Duan Lingtian grew stronger, it would not only be a disaster for the Yun family, but it would also be a disaster for his son, Yun Qingyan. This matter, I'll have to alert the ancestor. Yun Tingfeng did not want to alert the ancestor of the Yun family because of Duan Lingtian. If the ancestor knew about this matter, he would definitely choose to use his son's life to appease Duan Lingtian's anger against the Yun family. In the eyes of the ancestor, the life or death of his son was not important. What was important was the legacy of the Yun family. I can't tell the ancestor the truth after the projection of his doppelganger appears. Otherwise, he won't think of going against Duan Lingtian. Yun Tingfeng quickly came up with an excuse. He then went to the Yun family's ancestral shrine and used the patriarch's token to awaken the projection of the Yun family's ancestor's doppelganger. The projection of the doppelganger could not unleash much strength, but it could transmit everything it saw and heard back to the main body. Ancestor. When the figure of an old man appeared, Yun Tingfeng immediately knelt on the ground. He was usually high and mighty in the Yun family, but at this moment, he was like a devout believer. What's the matter? The old man had the demeanor of an immortal. Only the lower half of his face looked benevolent. However, his sharp eyebrows ruined this benevolence. Although the old man's eyes were calm and it was only a projection of his doppelganger, Yun Tingfeng did not dare to breathe loudly when he looked at him. Ancestor. Yun Tingfeng said in a deep voice, Ancestor, I wonder if you've heard about the upgraded version of the list battle in the Zone of Chaos? Yes. The old man replied indifferently, I've seen the list. I don't think anyone from the Yun family is on it. Could it be that someone has entered one of the lists using an alias? You've awakened me because you want to give him a reward? The old man asked. No. Yun Tingfeng smiled bitterly. Yun Tingfeng smiled bitterly and said, Not a single member of the Yun family made it onto the updated list. Then why did you awaken my doppelganger projection? The old man's tone became much colder at this moment. Ancestor. Yun Tingfeng's expression instantly turned solemn. You must have heard about the person who ranked first on the upgraded version of the list battle in the Zone of Chaos, right? Yes. The old man replied indifferently, He's not even 1,000 years old and has just entered the ultimate god realm. It's said that his strength is comparable to a top intermediate ultimate god. It won't be difficult for this child to become an ultimate god when he grows up in the future. Even though he was an ultimate god, he had heard a lot about the monstrous genius named Duan Lingtian. The first time he had heard of the other party's name was during the last meeting of the utmost powerful beings. Duan Lingtian had almost killed the genius of the Ning family in the Land of Sanctions, Ning Yishuan. Before that, Ning Yishuan was recognized as the #1 person among the younger generation in the god-defying realm. However, this time, he had been defeated by a young man who was not even 1,000 years old. Later, when the upgraded version of the Zone of Chaos was activated, Duan Lingtian's performance made him pay more attention to this rising star of the god-defying realm. In the history of the god-defying realm, there had never been such a monstrous genius. Although he had nothing to do with Duan Lingtian, He was very optimistic about Duan Lingtian. As long as he did not die prematurely in the future, he would definitely become an ultimate god. Chapter 43-37. Ancestor. Yun Tingfeng, the patriarch of the Yun family, felt bitter and helpless when he saw his ancestor's reaction. Based on the Yun family's ancestor's tone when he mentioned Duan Lingtian, it was obvious he admired Duan Lingtian and did not harbor any enmity or jealousy toward Duan Lingtian. This was definitely not a good sign. At this moment, the Yun family's ancestor noticed Yun Tingfeng's strange behavior. His expression changed abruptly. Don't tell me you're looking for me because of him? Why? Did you offend him? The Yun family's ancestor, a supreme expert, suddenly changed his expression. If it was in the past, even he would find it unbelievable. After all, Duan Lingtian was not even a supreme expert. He was not even a high-level ultimate god or a medium ultimate god. Ancestor. Yun Tingfeng took a deep breath before he recounted the speech he had prepared earlier. He briefly mentioned the enmity between his son, Yun Qingyan, and Duan Lingtian and emphasized how determined Duan Lingtian was against the Yun family. He even mentioned that Duan Lingtian had killed many members of the Yun family in the outside world. At the same time, he was mentally prepared for this. Those members of the Yun family in the outside world would have to stay in the outside world forever. As for the culprit, it was naturally Duan Lingtian. Ancestor, based on your tone, I can tell you admire him a lot. However, what I want to say is that he's a huge threat to the Yun family. 100 years ago, dozens of members of the Yun family died in his hands. This was before he entered the realm battlefield's chaos zone. Currently, he's like a fish in water in the realm battlefield's chaos zone. He even ranked first on the upgraded chaos zone's overall ranking. I'm afraid it won't be long before he rises to prominence. Yun Tingfeng paused for a moment before he said in a deep voice, "This isn't a good thing for the Yun family. I'm here to tell you about this matter. Although he's only a lower ultimate god now, his strength is comparable to many upper ultimate gods. If such a person grows up, I won't be able to handle it, and neither will the Yun family. I'm afraid only the old ancestor alone can restrain him," Yun Tingfeng said. Originally, he had planned to use his niece to lure him out and then kill him. But now, the plan could not keep up with the changes. Although his plan was not necessarily useless, if the other party digested the reward of the upgraded Chaos Realm this time, his strength would definitely increase rapidly. At that time, in the entire Yun family, except for him, there would be no one who could stop him. When that time came, would the other party still lie to him? At that time, he could use his niece to threaten the other party, but the other party could use everyone in the Yun family to threaten him. Could he, Yun Tingfeng, protect everyone from the Yun family? It's a pity that I didn't kill him the last time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have left such a disaster behind. Yun Tingfeng sighed in his heart. He felt that it was a pity, but he also knew that it was useless. Back then, he had not made any mistakes. It could only be said that his opponent was too vigilant. If only Yin was half as good as him, I wouldn't have to worry about him all the time. When he thought about how his son was compared to Duan Lingtian, Yun Tingfeng felt exhausted. What? After hearing Yun Tingfeng's words, the Yun family's old ancestor's expression changed again. You mean, Duan Lingtian is now our Yun family's enemy?
Yes.
Yun Tingfeng nodded. At the same time, he said with a bitter expression on his face, moreover, it's the kind that leaves no room for negotiation. Currently, the number of direct descendants of the Yun family who died in his hands has exceeded 50. Among them, there are also a few people from your branch, old ancestor. Yun Tingfeng knew the old ancestor very well. Although he cared about the Yun family, he cared about the few dozen people in his branch the most. However, among those people, there was no outstanding talent in this generation. He even killed people from my branch? As expected, the Yun family's old ancestor's eyes turned cold, and his face was filled with killing intent. His originally fierce and sharp eyebrows seemed to have turned into swords at this moment. Yes, Yun Tingfeng replied respectfully. At the same time, he sent out a message that he had prepared long ago. He ordered the people he had arranged long ago to execute the few people from the Yun family's old ancestors' branch outside the Yun family. Those people had left the Yun family for a long time, and the soul orbs they left in the Yun family had long since expired. There was no need to worry that the people from their branch would know that they had died. As for the old ancestor before him, it was only a clone projection. Yun Tingfeng was not worried that he would discover his message. Good, very good. The Yun family's old ancestor was clearly very angry. After all, there were not many people from his branch left in the Yun family. If one died, there would be one less. Old ancestor. Yun Tingfeng had a respectful expression on his face as he looked at the Yun family's old ancestor with an expectant gaze. I wonder if you have a way to kill Duan Lingtian in the cradle? This time, he obtained the first place on the overall ranking. Can you stop him from obtaining it? Or should I say, can you personally kill him and seize all of his gains? When Yun Tingfeng reached the end of his sentence, the expectant look in his eyes intensified. As soon as he finished speaking, he added, Old ancestor, if you can kill him and seize his gains, even if you give a portion of it to the Yun family, the younger generation of the Yun family will definitely rise to prominence. At this moment, Yun Tingfeng was already thinking that if the old ancestor before him was willing to kill Duan Lingtian and seize Duan Lingtian's gains and share them with the Yun family, he would definitely increase the strength of his son, Yun Qingyan. As for giving it to others, that was impossible. Even if he really wanted to give it to others, he would only give a small portion as a token gesture. He would definitely leave the majority of the gains for his son. Oomph. The Yun family's old ancestor snorted coldly. In the upgraded version of the Realm of Chaos, many supreme experts wanted to take his life but were unable to do so. Do you think I can kill him in the Realm of Chaos? If I'm not mistaken, he must have been taken away to receive his reward before he even left the Realm of Chaos. The Divine Corrupting Spring won't be given to him directly. As for the Divine Corrupting Spring, it's in the hands of that person. The Yun family's old ancestor's eyes were filled with dread when he thought about one of the leaders of the supreme experts in the God-defying realm. That person was not someone he could afford to offend. Old ancestor, the person you're talking about, could it be one of those few supreme experts? Yun Tingfeng's expression changed when he saw the old ancestor's dread. There were strong and weak supreme experts in the God-defying realm, but there were a few supreme experts who were ranked at the top. They were unshakable by the other supreme experts. If the Divine Corrupting Spring was in the hands of one of those few supreme experts, and that person was the one who gave the reward to Duan Lingtian, the Yun family's old ancestor would not be able to interfere. He was very clear about this. Yes. The Yun family's old ancestor glanced at Yun Tingfeng indifferently. Therefore, it's not realistic for me to stop him from obtaining the reward. Moreover, in the next instant, the Yun family's old ancestor's gaze turned sharp. There are some things that I'm not unaware of. When Duan Lingtian rose to prominence, many supreme powerhouses had tried to find out about his background and past. As for me, I've also learned about his background from other supreme powerhouses. His wife is the reincarnation of the little girl from the Xia family. If I remember correctly, back then, your son wanted to marry that girl as his wife. As for you, you once invited me to attend his wedding. I'll believe everything you've said today for the time being. However, if I find out that all of this is because of your son, he'll definitely die. When the Yun family's old ancestor reached the end of his sentence, his voice was bone-chilling. Yun Tingfeng's expression changed drastically. Before he could react, the Yun family's old ancestor's clone projection had already disappeared without a trace. When Yun Tingfeng regained his senses, his expression was as unsightly as it could be. A moment later, his expression changed. After a long time, his expression returned to normal. At the same time, he let out a long sigh and turned to walk out of the Yun family's ancestral hall. Then, he immediately went to look for his son, Yun Qingyan. Father. Yun Qingyan's emotions were not high when he saw his father. This was because he knew everything that had happened in the dimensional battlefield. Duan Lingtian had obtained the reward of first place on the Chaos Zone's overall list of the upgraded version of the dimensional battlefield. He had become the envy of everyone in the God-defying realm. The first place on the lesser ultimate god list would be able to obtain a large amount of divine corrupting spring. The first place on the overall list would even be able to soak in the divine corrupting spring and absorb as much divine corrupting spring as he wished. On top of that, he would also be able to obtain an ultimate god divinity. Naturally, he knew what the ultimate god divinity meant. It was an existence that contained the power of law. As long as one obtained it, one's comprehension of the law would improve tremendously. You know everything? Seeing his son's expression, Yun Tingfeng guessed that he already knew. He couldn't help but sigh.
Yes.
Yun Qingyan nodded. He seemed to be in low spirits, but there was no sign of despair or hysteria on his face. It was as though he had accepted his fate. At least, it seemed that way. Yun Tingfeng said in a low voice, "I'll make some arrangements. You can't stay in the Yun clan and the divine offering land anymore. Find a mundane realm in the lower secondary realm where no one can find you and live out the rest of your life in peace. Don't tell anyone about that place, including me." Yun Tingfeng said. Yun Qingyan's expression changed when he heard his father's words. "Father, you're asking me to escape?" Originally, even though there was some despair in the depths of his heart, and he also felt that it would be very difficult for his father's next plan to succeed. However, he also thought that even if he were to encounter difficulties in the future, that would be a matter for the future. However, his father was asking him to escape? Duan Lingtian was only a lesser ultimate god. At this moment, Yun Qingyan felt as though something was stuck in his chest. At the same time, in his mind, the voice that he had suppressed a long time ago began to speak bewitchingly once more. Chapter 43:38. Father, is there really nothing else we can do? Yun Qingyan was still unwilling to give up. He, Yun Qingyan, was the young master of the Yun family in the world of divine remains. He was the pride of the Yun family. Even in the God Defiance plane, his status was very prominent. More than 99% of the people looked up to him and envied him. But now, with such a status, he was reduced to seeking refuge in a mundane plane. The initiator of all this was a lowly person with a lowly bloodline from a mundane plane. How could he accept this? Now, every time he thought of how he could have killed Duan Lingtian, but because of his cousin, Xianing Xue, he did not kill Duan Lingtian and did not even bother to kill Duan Lingtian again. He felt a wave of regret. If he had sent someone to kill Duan Lingtian after dealing with his cousin, Xianing Xue, there would not be such a series of events that happened later. He really didn't expect that a person from the mundane plane, who was like an ant in his eyes in the past, who he could easily crush with a finger, would grow to such a level today. The last time he saw Duan Lingtian, he was almost killed. He regretted not targeting Duan Lingtian. Otherwise, his life would not have been on the line. Later, when news spread that Duan Lingtian was in the Chaos Zone, or even the upgraded version of the Chaos Zone, it was too late for regrets. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. However, regret was useless. Duan Lingtian had already grown. It's not necessarily impossible. Yun Tingfeng sighed and said, "I'll continue with that plan. However, you can't stay here any longer. It's too dangerous for you to stay. I'll find someone to be your substitute. At that time, if Duan Lingtian shows up, I'll do everything I can to kill him. If he's dead, you can come back." Yun Tingfeng said, "If he's dead, the news will spread throughout the world of divine remains, and even the various world of divine remains. So, you don't have to worry about not receiving any news. As long as you stay in the mundane plane for a few hundred years, you can go to the various world of divine remains to ask for news." Yun Tingfeng said. However, despite Yun Tingfeng's words, Yun Qingyan did not believe them. He knew his father well. If he had the confidence, he would not have sent him away. It was obvious that he was not confident. "Father, I understand. I will leave tomorrow," Yun Qingyan said. "Let's not wait for tomorrow." However, Yun Tingfeng shook his head. "How about today? Today, you will leave. Of course, with your current strength, you can't go to the lower realms yet. Next, I'll bring you to another realm of gods through the realm battlefield. Once the planar battlefield is closed and the spatial tunnel between the realms of gods and the lower realms is reopened, You can go to the lower realms and find a mundane realm that no one knows about to live in seclusion for a while. A few hundred years later, you can come back and ask for more information. Yun Tingfeng had even thought of a way out for his son. He knew that this was the only way out for his son. Based on the attitude of the Yun family's ancestor, it wouldn't be long before he would find his son and denounce him. There was even a high possibility that his son would be killed. In front of that old ancestor, his son's life was as lowly as grass. However, in his eyes, his son's life was extremely important. There was no way he would allow his son to die. As for the fact that the plan would continue, he was merely trying to comfort his son. He knew that even if the plan continued, it would be difficult for him to deal with Duan Lingtian. First, Duan Lingtian's strength would definitely soar after he received the reward of being the first on the Chaos Zone's overall ranking. At that time, even if Duan Lingtian was not as strong as him, it would not be impossible for Duan Lingtian to escape from under his nose. Secondly, there was the Xia clan. Previously, the clan leader of the Xia clan, Xia Yu, had made it clear that he was willing to help Yun Tingfeng deal with Duan Lingtian. However, what about now? Duan Lingtian was so outstanding. Moreover, he had even obtained the first on the Chaos Zone's overall ranking and obtained a large amount of divine corrupting springs. Yun Tingfeng did not believe Xia Yu did not have any thoughts about this. Perhaps, Xia Yu was afraid of Yun Tingfeng's threat and was willing to help him deal with Duan Lingtian. However, who could guarantee that Xia Yu would not inform Duan Lingtian about this? For this reason, Yun Tingfeng did not think his plan would succeed. Father. On the other hand, Yun Qingyin did not show much emotion when he heard his father's words. His expression was cold as he said, "Let me leave on my own. If I can't even travel to other realms of gods on my own, what's the point of living in this world?" Yun Tingfeng was stunned when he heard Yun Qingyan's words. Then, he looked at his son for a while before he nodded and said, "You've grown up. You have your own thoughts. I respect you." For now, he was not worried about his son's safety. Of course, he would still tell them in secret. Only when he saw his son enter the planar battlefield would he feel relieved. "I'll go prepare some things for you. Bring them with you to the realm battlefield." After saying that, Yun Tingfeng left. However, he soon returned and handed a spatial ring to his son, Yun Qingyin. Earlier, Yun Tingfeng had used his authority as the clan leader of the Yun clan to take many things from the Yun clan's treasure vault for his son. Naturally, the Yun clan's elders would hold him accountable for this. However, he couldn't care less about that. "Father, I'll take my leave now." Yun Qingyin left after receiving the spatial ring. After leaving the Yun clan's estate, he entered the realm battlefield. With this, Yun Tingfeng left and returned to the Yun clan. Not long after Yun Tingfeng returned to the Yun clan, Yun Qingyin, who had entered the realm battlefield, chose to return to the divine offering land from a nearby military camp. It did not take long for him to return to the divine offering land. However, he did not plan to return to the Yun clan this time. Instead, after they were teleported out, they found a secluded place nearby and settled down at the foot of an inconspicuous mountain peak that was neither too high nor too low in the forest. At the same time, a blood-red pearl the size of a fist appeared in his hand. It was called a blood-red pearl because it was shrouded in blood energy. Upon closer inspection, one could see the pearl was not blood-red. Instead, it was translucent. Furthermore, one could clearly see that there was a figure lying inside the pearl. It was motionless, as if it was dead. There was no movement or sound. It was a handsome and devilish young man. His eyes were closed as he lay there. His upper body was masculine, but something was missing from his lower body. He looked no different from a eunuch in a palace in the mundane realms. Is he still a man? Yun Qingyin stared at the figure in the pearl with a conflicted expression on his face. The thing in his hand was something he had obtained 2 days ago. If he hadn't experienced it for himself, even he himself wouldn't have believed that such an absurd and bizarre thing could happen. While he was cultivating, he had a dream. Someone had spoken to him in his dream, telling him that he would be granted great power, but he would have to pay a price. He would have to abandon his body. His soul would have to enter another body. Apart from that, there was a risk of being devoured by the soul remnant in the body. In the best-case scenario, he would be affected by the soul remnant, and the person would become him and not him at the same time. Initially, he had thought it was just a ridiculous dream. But when he woke up, he found that there was an extra pearl in front of him, and the voice he heard in his dream kept coming out from the bamboo, saying that it wanted to give him power and told him to break the pearl as soon as possible to release the owner of the voice. Naturally, he did not do that. After all, if he did that, he would no longer be himself. In fact, he would no longer be a man. This was something he could not accept. However, at this moment, he knew this was the only way for him to become stronger. Otherwise, he would have to wait until the spatial tunnel between the lower realms and the realms of gods opened. He would have to find a mundane realm that no one knew about and live there with a different identity. Many years later, he would not be able to withstand the 1,000-year heavenly tribulation and die. He did not want that to happen. I want to kill that Duan Lingtian. Even if I can't be with my cousin, that Duan Lingtian won't be able to have my cousin. If I can't have her, I'll destroy her. Yun Qing Yan's eyes were filled with madness at this moment. He raised his hand and merged his divine consciousness with the pearl in his hand. At the same time, he slammed his palm against the pearl. A devastating energy landed on the pearl in just a blink of an eye. Crack! The pearl shattered with a loud sound. Immediately after, a terrifying power that seemed to be unrestrained swept out from the bead. The handsome and bewitching young man who was sleeping without a single piece of clothing suddenly opened his eyes. There were no emotions in his eyes. In fact, there was a vacant look in his eyes. From today onward, you'll be my new body. No matter what the outcome is, I, Yun Qingyan, will accept it. Yun Qingyan's body was crushed by the energy from the pearl. It did not take long for his body to disintegrate into dust. However, his soul left his body first and followed his consciousness into the body of the handsome and devilish young man who was still lying there. His soul had occupied the young man's consciousness. The handsome young man rose to his feet and moved his hands mechanically. He lowered his head to look at his body before a sinister smile appeared on his face. I'm still conscious. It was not clear whether the voice belonged to a man or a woman, but it was clear the voice belonged to Yun Qingyan. However, in the next instant, his expression suddenly changed. Meanwhile, in the consciousness of the body that Yun Qingyan had occupied, his soul was attacked by more than a dozen soul remnants. His soul was injured, and the soul remnants entered his body through the wound. Eventually, the soul remnants merged with his soul. Have I been revived? No. My memory is different from before. Yun Qingyan muttered to himself, I'm Bai Feng, and I'm also Yun Qingyan. From now on, I'll be called Yun Feng. Chapter 43:39. That's not right. The handsome and devilish young man shook his head. There's an elder in the Yun clan who's also called Yun Feng. I'm not called Yun Feng. From now on, I'll be called Yun Xinfeng. As these words fell, the handsome yet devilish young man nodded his head in satisfaction. Then, he looked at his naked body. With just a thought, he attached his divine energy to his body and transformed it into a robe that covered his entire body. He was wearing a bright red robe, which made him look even more demonic. At this moment, the young man who called himself Yun Xinfeng spoke in a gentle and flirtatious tone. It did not sound like a man's voice at all. It sounded more like a feminine woman's voice. It's really strange. Now, I actually don't have any delusions about my cousin. Even if she's willing to marry me, I'm no longer interested in her. Is this the after effect of merging with my new body? However, I don't seem to dislike this after effect at all. However, suddenly, as though he had thought of something, a hint of viciousness flashed in the eyes of the feminine young man. Even if I'm no longer interested in my cousin, that Duan Lingtian can forget about being with my cousin. Humph! A cold snort rang in the air. Unknowingly, the energy in his body was brought into play. In just an instant, a terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions and blasted the towering mountains and precipitous ridges into flat ground. Mountains crumbled and the earth cracked. Dust flew everywhere. Mountain and river reversal. In the next instant, when the commotion died down, The feminine young man looked at the scene before him in shock and disbelief. This is my energy? Even if my father were to attack the surroundings with all his might, it wouldn't be as powerful as this, right? However, I'm only using the divine energy around me, and it's already so destructive? That's not right. Suddenly, the feminine young man seemed to have noticed something. He flipped his right hand and looked at his palm. Strands of energy that originated from his body swept out from his palm. Looking at this strange yet familiar power, the man's pupils contracted slightly. This is the supreme divine power. Omnipotent divine power, the power of an omnipotent expert, aside from the chaos zone, could be used anywhere else, including the planar battlefield. Of course, it was only useful against existences below the level of utmost powerful beings. When he was still the first young master of the Yun family, Yun Qingyin, he did not lack such supreme divine power. However, he never imagined that one day he would have such experience. Becoming a supreme expert was the dream of all existences above the divine master level in the god-defying realm, and he was no exception. However, he knew that it was harder than ascending to the heavens for him to become a supreme expert. Every single one of these supreme experts was someone with unparalleled talent. Although his talent was not bad, it was still lacking by quite a bit. He had never imagined that he would one day become an omnipotent. Although he had paid a great price to become an omnipotent, at this moment, he felt that it was extremely worth it. Previously, he had never regretted it. Now, he felt that it was worth it. Even if he felt that his consciousness was being affected by another consciousness, and that incomplete and complicated memory was still constantly corroding his memories, and he had no way to stop it. However, he did not panic at all. It was normal for him to have to pay a price to obtain such great power all of a sudden. This was a transaction in itself. He had given up his body and used his soul to awaken the body that had been sealed for many years. The soul in the other party's body was no longer complete and was badly damaged. However, his soul would still be eroded and become something that was neither human nor ghost. He had known all this for a long time. However, so what? What he needed was great power, power that could kill the Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian's smooth growth had long made him crazy with jealousy. Later on, because of the Duan Lingtian's threat, his father had actually asked him to find a mundane realm to conceal his identity until the 1,000-year tribulation that he could not resist arrived. This was equivalent to asking him to find a place to wait for death. He could not accept this. For this reason, he had chosen to accept the devil's offer. Don't even think about completely eroding the memories in my soul. I must kill the Duan Lingtian. I won't allow him to be with my cousin, Xianing Shui. Also, my father. No one can touch my father, not even that old man from the Yun family. Although Yun Tingfeng had not told Yun Qingyin many things, Yun Qingyin was not stupid. However, Yun Qingyin was no fool. Since his father had asked him to leave his hometown and find a mundane realm to wait for death, it meant he must have gone to the supreme expert from the Yun family and had no choice but to make such a decision. If the supreme expert from the Yun family was willing to protect him, his father would not have done this. It was clear the supreme expert from the Yun family had given up on him. In other words, the supreme expert did not know the Yun family had offended the Duan Lingtian because of him. His father was worried the supreme expert would target him after learning the truth, so he sent him away. Now that he thought about it, everything made sense. Yun Qingyin could clearly feel his father's helplessness when he was about to send him away. Don't even think about asking me to forget my father, Yun Qingyin muttered to himself. He knew it was impossible for him to keep most of his memories. Therefore, he could only choose to keep some of them. There were 3 of them. He remembered everything about them. He did not want to forget them because of the impact from the remnant of his soul. A moment later, before many people noticed the commotion and rushed over, the feminine-looking young man suddenly hugged his head with both hands and let out an incomparably sharp roar. Then, a terrifying power spread out from his body and spread out. Boom, boom, boom. The land, which had been turned into ruins and had fallen silent, began to tremble once again. This time, the sudden surge of power was wreaking havoc in a wider and wider area. Many villages and towns were affected by it. Countless people died. What a terrifying energy. Heavens! Who's fighting? Isn't this power too terrifying? At that moment, a group of ultimate gods, including a few high-level ultimate gods, noticed the commotion and stopped in their tracks, not daring to go any closer. The feminine-looking young man who was at the center of the explosion had regained his composure. However, his eyes were colder than before. Hee, I didn't expect to be reborn in such a way. Yun Xing Yin, right? From now on, you and I are one. From now on, I'm Yun Xinfeng. Is this the God-defying realm? The person who sealed me was a powerhouse from the God-defying realm. Is he dead? Otherwise, why would he leave my heavenly jewel outside? I have to leave as soon as possible. The commotion earlier might have alerted the master of this space. The feminine-looking young man raised his hand, and a terrifying energy swept out. It tore the space apart as he prepared to leave. Wait, there's something I need to do. I need to go to the Xia clan. Suddenly, the feminine-looking young man seemed to have recalled something. With a flash, he disappeared from where he was and left at lightning speed. Meanwhile, in front of a wooden house on a floating island in the endless void, an old man with the demeanor of a transcendent being was playing chess with a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man suddenly frowned. What's wrong? The old man was puzzled when he saw the middle-aged man frowning. Nothing. The middle-aged man shook his head. I must have sensed wrongly. Perhaps the closure of the upgraded Chaos Realm has affected the realm battlefield and caused some commotion in my divine offering land. Let's continue playing chess, the middle-aged man said. The old man shook his head. The old man shook his head and smiled. That little world in your body has turned into a realm of gods and formed a formation with the other 17 realms of gods to protect the safety of the God-defying realm. You must have gained a lot over the years, right? Now that you've absorbed the divine offering land into your body and merged it with your body, do you think your combat strength is comparable to those few people? The old man asked with a smile. Those few people. The middle-aged man was taken aback when he heard the old man's words. Then, he shook his head. Those few people are too mysterious. Let's not talk about the other mysterious ones. Even I can't see through the depths of the one who is more commonly seen. If I don't use the divine offering land, I'm afraid I won't even be able to withstand a single blow from him. If I use the divine offering land, I might be able to fight him, but the chances of me defeating him are slim. Moreover, we can't use the divine offering land recklessly. If we use it for too long, it'll weaken the God-defying realm's external barrier. At that time, the outsiders will find an opportunity to infiltrate the God-defying realm. The middle-aged man said, That's true. The old man sighed. The responsibility you bear is too great. It's best if you don't touch the divine offering land if you can. It was not difficult to tell that the middle-aged man was the master of the divine offering land, a supreme powerhouse who stood at the top of the God-defying realm. In the divine offering land, the Xia clan, bang, a loud noise rang in the air. The Xia clan's extremely sturdy protective grand formation trembled for a moment before it cracked and shattered. In the next moment, the entire Xia clan's mansion was affected by a powerful force and turned into ruins in the blink of an eye. If it was not for the backup plan behind the protective grand formation that teleported the people in the Xia clan's mansion out of the Xia clan's mansion in time, it would be difficult for anyone in the Xia clan's mansion to survive. Who dares to attack my Xia clan? An incomparably loud roar reverberated in the air. Then, an incomparably huge face appeared in the sky above the Xia clan's mansion. It glared at the void not far away. There was a hint of fear in the depths of its eyes. Chapter 4340. You're just a projection. Do you think you can stop me? A coquettish voice rang out, reverberating through the heavens and the earth. It reached the ears of the Xia family members nearby, causing them to think that it was a female cultivator who had arrived. Moreover, since the other party could break through the Xia clan's protective formation in an instant, it was obvious that she was not a high-level ultimate god. She must be an ultimate expert. Moreover, based on what the other party had said, it was most likely an ultimate expert who had come in person. When did our Xia clan offend a female ultimate expert? What's going on? Could it be because of the eldest miss? I heard that the eldest miss and the Duan Lingtian were husband and wife, but they were separated by the eldest young master of the Yun clan. Could it be that an ultimate expert is here to kidnap the eldest miss and exchange her for the divine corrupting spring with the Duan Lingtian? It's possible. Many of the Xia clan members who knew about the relationship between the Duan Lingtian and the eldest miss of the Xia clan, Xianing Shui, came to their senses and made such a guess. However, in the next instant, a figure appeared in the distance before their eyes, causing them to be shocked once again. A man? The members of the Xia clan had all thought that the one who had arrived was a female utmost powerful being. However, they had not expected that the one who had appeared along with the voice was a man. The man was dressed in a long red robe. He was handsome and devilish. The Xia clan members felt that he looked familiar, as though they had seen him somewhere before. Did you notice? This man looks a little like the Yun clan's young master Qing Yin. It's true. Many members of the Xia clan noticed that the red-robed man looked very similar to Yun Qing Yin, the first young master of the Yun clan whom they had met many times. What was going on? What was going on? Was there anyone who looked so similar in this world? Originally, the red-robed man looked nothing like Yun Qing Yin. However, after Yun Qing Yan's soul had merged with the red-robed man's soul, Yun Qing Yin had tried his best to change his appearance before the red-robed man's soul completely merged with the red-robed man's soul. The red-robed man did not care about this and allowed him to do as he pleased. However, although he had changed a little, the changes were limited. Therefore, he only looked like Yun Qing Yin. Could it be the patriarch of the Yun family? Someone guessed. Impossible. In the next moment, someone retorted, the strongest elder of the Yun family would never target our Xia family. Furthermore, our Xia family would never offend him. Furthermore, I've heard that the strongest expert of the Yun family, the old ancestor, would normally appear to others as an old man. That is definitely not the case. I've also heard that the patriarch of the Yun family is a traditional and old-fashioned person. It's impossible for him to appear in such an unconventional manner. If it's not that person from the Yun family, then who is it? I don't know. While the members of the Xia family were still in shock, the red-clothed feminine young man in the sky opened his mouth once again. So this is your strength. Forget about the fact that this is just a projection of your true self. Even if your true self were here, I, Yun Xinfeng, may not be able to defeat you. Killing these ants of your Xia family would be as easy as flipping my hand. Yun Xinfeng. The feminine-looking young man opened his mouth and stated his name. Hearing his name, everyone from the Xia family was at a loss. As the strongest expert of the Xia family, this was the first time the giant face had heard of this name. Yun Xinfeng? I've never heard of you. The strongest expert of the god-defying realm. I've never heard of you either. Who are you? Who am I? The feminine young man chuckled before he looked at the middle-aged man behind the giant face and said with a smile, Uncle, why don't you tell this person who I am? Uncle. The middle-aged man whom the feminine young man was looking at was none other than the current patriarch of the Xia family, Xia Yu. At this moment, even Xia Yu, who had thought the feminine young man in front of him looked familiar and somewhat resembled his nephew, Yun Qing Yin, did not dare to think that the other party was Yun Qing Yin. This was because although the resemblance was similar, there was a huge difference. When the other party mentioned Yun Xinfeng's name, Xia Yu instinctively wondered if the other party was related to the Yun family or an ancestor of Yun Qing Yan's bloodline. Did the Yun family have a hidden supreme expert and an ancestor of Yun Qing Yan's and Yun Tingfeng's bloodline? Was the other party here to stand up for Yun Qing Yan? However, when the other party addressed him as uncle, all of Xia Yu's thoughts were shattered. All of his guesses were wrong. You're Qing Yin? Xia Yu's eyes widened as he stared at the feminine young man in front of him in disbelief. Although the other party looked similar to his nephew, Yun Qing Yin, he did not dare to associate the other party with Yun Qing Yin. What a joke. Not to mention that they didn't look completely alike. Even their voices were completely different. Their temperament was completely different as well. The feminine young man before him gave him the impression that he was a woman in a man's skin. However, the other party had indeed addressed him as uncle. If the other party was not Yun Qingyan, he could not figure out who the other party was. "Oh, it's me, my good uncle. Uncle, I'm here to pick up my cousin." The effeminate young man grinned brilliantly. "Uncle, I'm here to pick up my cousin. I know you don't like me. I'm taking my cousin away this time, and I don't intend to force her to be with me. I'm no longer interested in her or any other woman in this world. I'm only bringing her away because I don't want to let that Duan Lingtian take advantage of her. Don't worry, uncle. After I bring my cousin away from the god-reversing realm, I'll look for a better man for her in the outer land. At the very least, he'll be better than the old me." The feminine young man's smile was so bright that even Xiaoyu, the clan leader of the Xia clan who was used to seeing storms, could not help but feel a chill run down his spine when he heard it. "Qingyan, what happened to you? Why are you acting like this?" Xiaoyu was completely baffled. Based on the other party's words, it was clear that the other party's tone was similar to Yun Qingyan's. However, at the same time, it was not very similar. Perhaps, the voice was different and did not contain any emotions. He found it hard to imagine what had happened to his nephew. His strength was comparable to a supreme powerhouse. However, it was as though he had a new body. Even though he didn't know what exactly happened, he knew that his nephew must have paid a heavy price because of this. There was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. If one wanted something, one had to pay a price. However, the feminine young man's expression changed when he heard Xiaoyu's question. He snorted coldly and said, "My good uncle, I advise you to quickly hand my cousin over. If you don't hand my cousin over, I'll annihilate the entire Xia clan." The feminine young man's eyes flashed fiercely as he spoke. At the same time, the fierce aura around him began to dissipate. The expressions of the surrounding Xia clan members changed drastically. When they heard the other party was Yun Qingyan, the first young master of the Yun clan, they heaved a sigh of relief. Although they did not know why the other party had suddenly become like this, they did not think the other party would be so ruthless. However, the other party's words sent chills down their spines. Annihilate the Xia clan? In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on the patriarch of the Xia clan, Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu's expression darkened when he heard Yun Qingyan's words. He did not expect his nephew to be so crazy. However, he couldn't just hand his daughter over just like that. "How dare you?" At this time, the giant face, which was the projection of the Xia clan's strongest patriarch, spoke in a cold voice, "Junior, you are too presumptuous. The Xia clan is not your." Before the huge face could finish speaking, the feminine young man smashed it into pieces with a single palm strike. Although the projection of the Supreme Powerhouse's Supreme Powerhouse was not as strong as his actual body, it was still very powerful. It was comparable to a top-notch high-level ultimate god. However, it could not withstand a single blow from the feminine young man. "Uncle, I don't have much time to waste with you." The feminine youth stared at Xiaoyu with a wicked smile on his face. "I'll give you 10 breaths of time to consider. After 10 breaths of time, if I still can't add my cousin, then all the members of the Xia family present here will be buried with you." There was no hint of emotion in the feminine young man's eyes. That was why Xiaoyu did not doubt his words at all. For a moment, Xiaoyu's expression turned extremely ugly. He could see it. Yun Qingyan is serious. Yun Tingfeng. At this critical moment, Xiaoyu thought of Yun Qingyan's father, Yun Tingfeng. He hurriedly sent a message to Yun Tingfeng. However, he had underestimated Yun Qingyan, or rather, Yun Xinfeng. Yun Xinfeng destroyed Xiaoyu's message with a casual strike. It was impossible for ordinary people to block Xiaoyu's message, but Yun Xinfeng, who had the strength of a supreme powerhouse, could. "You have 9 breaths left," Yun Xinfeng said indifferently. He knew he did not have much time left. The supreme powerhouse of the Xia clan's supreme powerhouse, the patriarch of the Xia clan, must be on his way. He might have even called his friends over. Once the patriarch of the Xia clan sensed him and started a fight with him, it would alarm the master of the divine offering land, one of the top supreme powerhouses in the god-defying realm. The patriarch of the Xia clan's strength in the divine offering land could be said to be invincible to Xiaoyu. Previously, he had come to the Xia clan because he was certain the patriarch of the Xia clan was not in the divine offering land. Yun Qing Yin. Xia Yu's expression was as ugly as it could be. A hint of struggle could be seen in his eyes. Despair could be seen on the faces of the members of the Xia clan. Although many of them hoped that the patriarch of the Xia clan would hand over the eldest young miss in exchange for their lives, however, no one said a word. No one dared to speak, and no one thought they had the right to speak. Chapter 43-41. Xia Yu had sent a message to Yun Tingfeng, the patriarch of the Yun family. He wanted to ask Yun Tingfeng what had happened to Yun Qingyin. How had the Xia family offended the Yun family? However, Yun Qingyin, or rather, Yun Xinfeng, intercepted the message. However, not long before Xia Yu sent the message, Yun Tingfeng, the patriarch of the Yun family, instinctively wanted to take a look at his son's soul pearl to confirm his son's safety. He was shocked when he saw the soul pearl. Although his son's soul pearl didn't shatter, many cracks had appeared on it. It was as if it had cracked open. This scene caused him to be completely at a loss. He had never encountered such a situation before. In fact, he had never heard of such a situation before. What happened to my son? What happened to him? Yun Tingfeng was extremely worried about his son. He had no idea what had happened. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that his son had already merged with another soul and possessed a body with the strength of an ultimate powerhouse. Even now, the Xia family has been reduced to a pile of rubble and has even threatened to destroy the entire Xia family. In the Xia family, you have 5 breaths left. Yun Xinfeng, the owner of the body that Yun Qingyin had merged with another soul, stared at the patriarch of the Xia family, Xia Yu. His eyes were filled with malice. He had calculated the time correctly. 5 breaths was enough for him to bring Xianing Shui out of the divine offering land. As long as he brought her out of the divine offering land, he could travel through the endless void and even travel through the turbulent space until he left the God-defying realm. The original owner of Yun Qingyin's body was not a supreme expert from the God-defying realm. He came from another realm. In the past, he had been sealed by a supreme expert from the God-defying realm and brought back to the God-defying realm, until Yun Qingyin rescued him. Of course, by the time Yun Qingyin rescued him, most of his soul had already been destroyed. Only a wisp of his soul was left. Even so, the wisp of his soul was still terrifying due to his strength when he was alive. It easily penetrated Yun Qingyin's soul. Of course, without the other party's permission, Yun Qingyin would not be able to control the other party's body with his soul. This was originally a transaction. Both Yun Qingyin and the other party felt the same way, so they reached an agreement. Yun Qingyin, are you really going to be so heartless? Xia Yu asked in a deep voice. Xia Yu, have never let you down. Haha. Yun Xinfeng laughed. Xia Yu, do you really think I'll treat you as my uncle just because I call you uncle? I'm no longer Yun Qingyin. I'm Yun Xinfeng. Now, you have 3 breaths of time left. Following Yun Xinfeng's words, many of the Xia family members could no longer hold themselves back and were in an uproar. Master, why don't we let the eldest miss come out? Patriarch. In the face of life and death, the members of the Xia family were naturally afraid. At the time, Kerr, the daughter of the Xia family, Xianing Shui, who has witnessed all this, also says to Xia Yu, Father, let me out. Now, Xianing Shui is in a holy weapon. This holy weapon is the inherited holy weapon of the Xia family. It is not very powerful. It only has a space similar to a storage ring, but it can hold living things. The ancestral shrine of the Xia family is this holy weapon, which has been in the hands of the Xia family head for generations. Kerr and Xiajia were originally locked in the ancestral shrine. When the mansion of the Xia family turned into ruins, the Xia family head, Xia Yu, took the holy weapon away. Naturally, he took them out with him. Although they were inside the artifact, they could clearly see everything that was happening outside. At this time, even Xiajia, who is next to Xianing Shui, does not say anything. His eyes are red and his fists are tightly clenched. At this time, there is nothing he can do. The opponent is too powerful. Even the projection of the ancestor original body of the Xia family was easily shattered by the opponent. The opponent is an ultimate expert. I'm sorry. In the end, Xiaoyu let his daughter out. At the same time, his heart was trembling, but he had no other choice. He is not only a father, but also the family head of the Xia family. Moreover, if the opponent really wants to kill all of us, it is not difficult for the opponent to find out that his daughter is in the holy weapon. Then, the result will be the same. Cousin. When Ku Er's figure appeared, Yun Xinfeng's eyes lit up. My dear cousin, you're finally out. Yun Xingyin. After Kerr came out, she stared coldly at the evil-looking young man in front of her. However, the young man shook his head and corrected her. Cousin, I am not Yun Xingyin now. I am Yun Xinfeng. Remember my new name. Don't call me by the wrong name in the future. At this time, Kerr realized that the young man in front of her was completely different from the Yun Xingyin of the past. The young man did not look at her with any desire to possess her. There was only coldness in his eyes, as if he had become an emotionless, cold-blooded animal. Cousin, I know you want to reunite with your husband, but believe me, it is impossible for you to reunite with him. Hee. When I bring you out of the God-defying realm, I will find you a husband outside the God-defying realm. At that time, he will be so angry that he will die. Haha. Yun Xinfeng laughed maniacally. Cousin, don't even think about killing yourself. If you dare to kill yourself now, I'll annihilate the entire Xia family. Yun Xinfeng's words cut off Ker's thoughts of committing suicide. Indeed, she did want to kill herself. Instead of being taken away by the young man, she would rather die. Cousin, don't resist. If you do, I will annihilate everyone in the Xia family. After Yun Xinfeng finished speaking, he moved to Ker's side in a flash. He extended his hand, and a strange energy surged out of his body toward Ker. His energy was about to enter Ker's body. Suddenly, a cold voice rang from afar. How dare someone from the blood world enter the God-defying realm? You're courting death. As this voice rang out, the silhouette of a middle-aged man appeared in front of everyone's eyes and immediately charged towards Yun Xinfeng. Yun Xinfeng's expression changed when he saw the middle-aged man. Damn it! How could a supreme expert come so quickly? He was certain the middle-aged man was not the supreme expert that the old ancestor of the Xia family had found. The middle-aged man could not have come so quickly. The middle-aged man must have been nearby. Yun Xinfeng could sense the middle-aged man's strength and the middle-aged man's intention to protect his target, Xianing Shui. He made up his mind and continued to channel his energy into Xianing Shui's body. Then, he raised his hand and smashed the void beside him. Chapter 43-42. Bang! The void cracked and a spatial crack appeared. Then, Yun Xinfeng's figure was blown into the turbulent space filled with countless spatial turbulence like a gust of wind. At this time, the sovereign who had suddenly attacked, a middle-aged man, arrived just in time. As soon as he arrived, he saw the unconscious girl in the arms of the Xia clan's patriarch, Xiaoyu. His expression changed slightly. It's the guy from the Dark Blood World Spirit Tribe. At this time, Xiaoyu was also checking on his daughter's injuries. When his divine consciousness and primordial spirit went out, he found that his daughter's soul was like a pool of stagnant water. There seemed to be a confinement force surrounding her. Just as he was about to try to break the confinement force, the middle-aged man who had just arrived shouted, "Don't recklessly use the confinement force. If the confinement force backfires, it's likely to affect the soul of the person who is confined and cause the soul of the person who is confined to be destroyed. I'll go after him." The confinement force of the Dark Blood World Spirit Tribe can only be broken by himself, or kill the person who cast it. After reminding Xiaoyu, causing Xiaoyu's expression to change drastically, the middle-aged man had already chased into the spatial crack before it closed. In the blink of an eye, the middle-aged man disappeared into the spatial crack. As for Xiaoyu, he looked at his daughter in his arms. His face was full of guilt. If he had not released his daughter, she would not have ended up like this. "Let me out." At this time, the voice of Xia Jie, the third master of the Xia clan, echoed in the sacred artifact in Xiaoyu's hand. Hearing this, Xiaoyu did not say anything and silently let his third brother out. After Xia Jie came out, he went up to Xiaoyu, and looked at his niece in Xia Yu's arms with an ugly expression. How could this be? How could this be? At this time, the group of Xia clan members present were also speechless. In particular, some of the Xia clan members who had asked Patriarch Xia Yu to release his niece lowered their heads in guilt. Although they did not know what had happened, based on the current situation, it was clearly not a good thing. In particular, the existence just now, who was obviously an ultimate contender as well, bluntly said that only the spellcaster himself could neutralize the means of their eldest lady. They were even more aware of the seriousness of the matter. Listening to the other party's words, even the strongest person in the god-defying realm had no way to break the method that person used on the eldest miss. Yun Qingyan, Xia Yu's expression was extremely ugly. At the same time, he sent out another message. Because this message was no longer blocked, it quickly reached the patriarch of the Yun family, Yun Tingfeng. Yener. As for Yun Tingfeng, when he heard Xia Yu's message, he immediately rushed to the Xia family without stopping. According to Xia Yu's words, his son was still alive and kicking. Furthermore, he had become an ultimate powerhouse. Although he did not know the details, he felt that something was not quite right. How could a person who was not even a high-level ultimate god become an ultimate god just like that? Also, what was with the cracks in his son's soul orb? Now, he desperately wanted to know what was going on behind all this. In the turbulent space, the middle-aged man chased after him at his fastest speed. However, he was delayed by reminding Xia Yu, so after a while, he was completely shaken off by the other party. His opponent had no intention of fighting him at all. He had run away. He's not weak. Why doesn't he even have the courage to fight me? Could it be that he has already alerted the person from the Xia family? When the middle-aged man thought of this, he felt relieved. If that was the case, it could be explained. Even if the other party was not afraid of him, he was worried that he would be in a stalemate with him. Once the person from the Xia family arrived, it would be even more difficult for the other party to escape. What a resolute fellow! The middle-aged man shook his head and turned around. He raised his hand and broke the barrier of the turbulent space, returning to the nearby divine offering land. Then, he returned to the Xia family in the divine offering land. At this moment, Yun Tingfeng, the patriarch of the Yun family, had also arrived at the Xia family. When he saw that the entire Xia family mansion had turned into ruins, he was a little stunned. The Xia family was gone just like that? To be more precise, the Xia family mansion that had been passed down for hundreds of thousands of years was gone just like that? What the hell is going on? Where's Yener? Yun Tingfeng asked Xia Yu anxiously as soon as he arrived at the scene. Xia Yu stared at Yun Tingfeng with a sour expression. Yun Tingfeng, you've really raised a good son. Initially, Xia Yu wondered if Yun Tingfeng, the patriarch of the Yun family, had anything to do with Yun Qingyan's current state. However, he did not think that was possible. Yun Tingfeng did not have the ability or means to do so. After all, Yun Qingyan was now a supreme being. Moreover, according to the supreme powerhouse who had sensed the situation, Yun Qingyan's current body was not that of a supreme being from the god-defying realm. He was from the bloody netherworld's ghost clan. Xia Yu, I don't know what you're talking about. I just want to know where my son is. You said he's now a supreme being? What happened? Yun Tingfeng asked as he took out his son's soul orb. This is my son's soul orb. This is the first time I've seen a crack on a soul orb. Tell me what happened to him. Although Yun Tingfeng did not know what had happened, the Xia family mansion was still in ruins. However, based on how the Xia clan had been reduced to ruins, Xia Yu was not lying. His son, Yun Qingyan, might really be a supreme being. Otherwise, how could he have reduced the Xia clan to ruins? Only a supreme being would have the ability to do so. Let me tell you. A loud and vigorous voice sounded, followed by the appearance of a figure. Xia Yu, Xia Jia, and the other members of the Xia clan immediately recognized this person. He was the middle-aged man who had scared away the red-clad young supreme powerhouse who was suspected to be Yun Qingyan. Senior. When Xia Jia saw this person, he immediately stepped forward and asked anxiously, "Did you catch up with that person?" Although Xia Jia had an ominous premonition in his heart when he saw that Lin Li had come alone, he still asked with hope in his heart. What if he caught up with that person and only restrained him but did not release him? At this moment, Xiajie could only comfort himself with this thought. Otherwise, what would happen to his niece? No. The person shook his head. At this moment, Yun Tingfeng's expression turned grave when he saw this person. A supreme being. The feeling this person gave him was similar to the patriarch of the Yun clan. Both of them gave him a lot of pressure. Only a supreme being could give him this kind of pressure. You didn't. Xiajie was slightly dazed when he heard this. Xia Yu's expression turned even uglier when he heard this person's reply. He felt as though his arms that were holding his daughter were extremely heavy. The guilt in his heart could not be any greater. He owed his daughter far too much. At this moment, the middle-aged supreme being looked at Yun Tingfeng. You're the current patriarch of the Yun clan in the Divine Offering Land? Yun Qingyan is your son? Yes, senior. Although Yun Tingfeng did not recognize this person before him, he could not afford to be careless since this person was a supreme being. If I'm not mistaken, your son must have awakened a supreme expert from the shackled soul tribe that was sealed in the blood world. In the past, some seniors in the Divine Offering Land chose to seal the supreme experts from the shackled soul tribe when they were unable to destroy the souls of the supreme experts from the shackled soul tribe. Instead, they chose to wear them down until they died. That clan soul techniques are extremely profound. Even if their bodies die, as long as their souls imprison themselves, they won't be destroyed, and they won't be afraid of external attacks. Of course, if it's just a godly venerable realm-sucking soul clan member, even if he's a higher ultimate god, an ultimate god can still annihilate him even if he seals his soul. However, if it's a sucking soul clan member who has become an ultimate god, even if he's also an ultimate god or someone stronger than him, it's difficult to annihilate his soul. The only way to do that is to seal him and kill him over time. This is because when a sucking soul clan member seals himself, his soul is constantly being exhausted and destroyed. Finally, the day of self-destruction comes. If I'm not mistaken, your son must have obtained the heavenly jewel from somewhere that sealed a sucking soul clan member who had become an ultimate god. He opened the heavenly jewel and, with the other party's permission, abandoned his body and merged his soul with the other party's remnant soul. This is also the method that many soul suckers use to resurrect themselves. Apart from that, the sucking soul clan members don't have a gender. They look like men, but their voices are female, and their important body parts don't have male characteristics. The sucking soul clan members don't have any desires. They live to become stronger and pursue eternal life. After listening to the middle-aged supreme expert's explanation, the Xia clan and Yun Tingfeng gained a better understanding of the sucking soul clan in the dark blood world. Senior. At this moment, Xia Yu asked unwillingly, "What's the situation with my daughter? Is there really no way to wake her up?" He had basically confirmed his daughter's current condition. Her body was fine. However, her soul seemed to have fallen into a deep sleep because it had been sealed. Moreover, the aura of her soul seemed to be weakening continuously. Although the weakening was not great, with his strength, he could still vaguely feel it. It would be fine for a short period of time, but if this continued, his daughter's soul would be completely destroyed one day. When that time came, it would mean that her soul would be destroyed and her body and Tao would disappear. There's no other way. The middle-aged supreme expert shook his head and sighed. In the end, I came too late. This time, I don't know how to explain to that little fellow. At this moment, whether it was Xia Yu, Xiajie, or Yun Tingfeng, none of them would have thought that the little fellow the middle-aged supreme expert was referring to was Xianing Shue's husband in this life. Duan Ling Tian. End of chapter. Chapter 43-43. As the location of the divine corporeal spring was different from the flow of time outside, Duan Ling Tian did not feel too much pressure and was completely at ease to cultivate. He had completely forgotten about the time during his cultivation. He only knew that he only had one chance. Therefore, during this process, he was completely focused on improving his cultivation base and strength. During this process, he was not on guard against anything around him. This was because he felt that it was unnecessary. If there was any danger, it would come from the ultimate expert who was in charge of him bathing in the divine corporeal spring. If the ultimate expert really wanted to deal with him, there was no need to wait until now. Currently, Duan Lingtian did not know that his wife, Kerr, was currently in a deep sleep due to the secret technique of the Blood World's Nightmare Soul clan. He also did not know that the Xia clan, a giant godly venerable clan in the Divine Offering Land, had their entire mansion that had been passed down for many years turned into ruins. There were even a few ultimate experts who had rushed to the Xia clan's vicinity after receiving help from the ultimate experts of the Xia clan. However, as they were too late, they could only leave silently in the end. As the master of the Divine Offering Land, the ultimate expert had also received the news at this time. He immediately stopped playing chess with his old friend and rushed back to the Divine Offering Land. Recommend an app that is comparable to the old version of the Divine Tool for reading books. You can exchange all the source books to read. Although the Divine Offering Land was a small world in his body, as an existence that guarded the God-defying realm, it was usually separated from him and could not be completely integrated with the God-defying realm like other people's small worlds. Of course, it was not that he could not integrate the Divine Offering Land with him, but once he did so, the Divine Offering Land would lose its role in guarding the God-defying realm to a certain extent. Naturally, his strength would soar to an extremely terrifying level at that time. So, it wasn't the upheaval caused by the closure of the upgraded version of the Chaos Realm in that dimensional battlefield. It was the Blood World's Nightmare Soul clan that revived in the Divine Offering Land. You've got guts. I'll remember your aura. If you dare enter the Divine Offering Land again, I'll definitely kill you. As the master of the Divine Offering Land, the strength that he could unleash in the Divine Offering Land was unimaginable to ordinary people. In the lower dimensions, in a mundane plane, within a vast island protected by layers upon layers of formations, a beautiful young woman stood at the peak of a mountain that reached into the clouds, gazing into the distance. She was none other than Duan Xiling. She was the daughter of Duan Lingtian and Kerr. As the saying went, mother and daughter were connected by heart. Recently, Duan Xiling had been feeling uneasy. She had a bad feeling about this. Father's law doppelganger was destroyed many years ago due to the needs of his main body. Is everything going well on father's side? Now that the 1,000-year time limit is up, the spatial tunnel between the lower realms and the realms of gods should be open, right? Why have I been feeling uneasy these past few days? Did something happen? Duan Xiling's eyes were filled with worry. Xiling, so you're here. A gentle voice sounded. A moment later, a graceful figure appeared. It was precisely the young woman who wore a bright red robe. Although her clothes were loose, they were unable to conceal her proud figure, and her actions were extremely charming. Aunt Wu. Duan Xiling bowed respectfully when she saw the newcomer. The newcomer was none other than Feng Tianwu. Aunt Wu, I've been feeling a little uneasy these days. Do you think something happened to father? Duan Xiling asked. Silly girl. Feng Tianwu shook her head. Don't overthink it. Your father, he will be fine. He's always been able to turn misfortune into blessings no matter what happens. I'm sure it won't be an exception this time. When she mentioned him, Feng Tianwu's originally cold eyes became much gentler. However, she would be lying if she said she was not worried. Around the same time, on the other side of the same island, in a quiet courtyard, there was a peerless beauty who was so beautiful that no one could pick out her next generation. She was silently standing there, looking into the distance, as if she was waiting for someone to return. Huan you can go out for a walk when you're not cultivating. There are many interesting places in the mundane realm. I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay here and wait for him to return. For the Xia clan in the Divine Offering Land, the arrival of Yun Xingyan's reincarnation from the Serene Blood World's Soul Shackle clan was undoubtedly a nightmare. The Xia clan's mansion had been in ruins for many years. However, after the nightmare, they could do whatever they wanted. Soon enough, the Xia clan's mansion was rebuilt with the help of the Xia clan. However, at this moment, Xia Yu, the clan leader of the Xia clan, publicly resigned from his position as the clan leader. Initially, he had planned to retire and stay by his daughter's side to apologize. However, the Xia clan's elders hoped he would continue to lead the Xia clan before the next clan leader was elected. That way, the Xia clan would not be in a mess. Initially, he did not agree to it. It was only when his third brother, Xiajie, who had always been at odds with him, came to persuade him that he reluctantly agreed. However, apart from handling the Xia clan's affairs, he spent most of his time by his daughter's side to show his repentance. Even Xiajie had never thought that his cold-blooded elder brother would become like this after his niece's calamity. It was only at this moment that he realized his brother had always been bluffing in the past. His elder brother cared a lot about his only daughter. "My dear daughter, I've asked around and confirmed that your husband is fine. He's very outstanding. If he comes, as long as he's willing, I'll hold a grand wedding for the both of you. I'll let you marry him in a grand manner." I was wrong. From now on, I won't work with the Yun clan to deal with him. I'll only protect him. That's because he's your husband. Xia Yu, the former patriarch of the Xia family, was an extremely dignified existence. At this moment, he was sitting in the front yard of the Xia family mansion, looking at the closed door of a room not far away. He was drinking and muttering to himself. His face was covered in stubble, and he looked dispirited. His robes were stained with wine, making him look sloppy. Not far away, Xiajie, who was about to enter the room, had a complicated look in his eyes when he saw this scene. In the past, he would never have imagined that his usually dignified brother would have such a side to him. Duan Lingtian completely lost track of time as he cultivated, until he officially stepped into the medium ultimate god realm. Originally, his speed of absorbing the divine corrupting spring water had slowed down a while ago. Therefore, he was worried that he would be sent out of the divine corrupting spring water earlier. At that time, he was thinking that it would be worth it if he could step into the medium ultimate god realm before he left. However, it was not that easy to step into the medium ultimate god realm. After a period of torment, he finally stepped into the medium ultimate god realm. Just a little bit more, and I'm done for. In the beginning, Duan Lingtian only guessed that his speed of absorbing the divine corrupting spring water would slow down. In the end, as time passed, his guess was verified. Especially when he was about to step into the medium ultimate god realm, he was really worried that he would be sent out of the divine corrupting spring water because his speed of absorbing the divine corrupting spring water was too slow. At the crucial moment, which was also the moment he was most worried about, he successfully stepped into the medium ultimate god realm. After stepping into the medium ultimate god realm, Duan Lingtian realized that his speed of absorbing the divine corrupting spring water had increased again. Is this because my speed of absorbing the divine corrupting spring water increased again after my breakthrough? Then, it slowed down again? Duan Lingtian thought to himself, but at the same time, he did not forget to continue absorbing the divine corrupting spring water with all his might. He thought that if he missed this opportunity, there would not be another opportunity like this. At the same time, in a pavilion that was floating in the endless void, a faint smile appeared on the face of a young man in snow-white clothes that was originally as calm as an ancient well. Not bad. He actually made a breakthrough. I originally thought that he might not be able to make a breakthrough. Based on his progress, it should not be a problem for him to consolidate his medium ultimate god cultivation base. As for stepping into the upper ultimate god realm, I'm afraid that's impossible. The young man muttered to himself. In the next moment, he seemed to have thought of something and raised his eyebrows slightly. I originally thought that his eldest senior sister was a good seedling, but now, it seems that he's not any worse than his eldest senior sister. In fact, he's even more outstanding. Let's see how he performs next. The God-defying world. After muttering to himself for a while, the young man let out a long sigh. The God-defying world seemed peaceful, but in fact, it was surging with undercurrents. Over the years, as time passed, he discovered more and more. These people were all old. The future of the God-defying world would eventually fall into the hands of the young. Even Duan Lingtian did not expect that he would stay in the space where the divine corrupting spring water was located for nearly 200 years. In these 200 years, not only did his cultivation base enter the medium ultimate god realm, but he had also completely consolidated his medium ultimate god realm cultivation base. In addition, he had also taken a big step forward. In the end, because the speed of absorbing the divine corrupting spring water had slowed down and exceeded the agreed time, He was forcefully sent out of the divine corrupting spring water. Senior, I've been here for nearly 200 years. How long has it been outside? Duan Lingtian knew that when he was a lower ultimate god, the difference in the flow of time between here and outside was 10 to 1. However, when he entered the medium ultimate god realm, the flow of time would definitely change again. Less than 40 years. The indifferent voice sounded again. Next, you can choose which ultimate god divinity you want. I have all the ultimate god divinities except for the ones that contain the law of earth, law of wood, and law of life. You, choose one. Duan Lingtian was, naturally, dumbfounded when he heard this. Who exactly was this person? Did he mean that he had a lot of paragon godhood in his possession? Chapter 43-44. Before entering the planar battlefield, Duan Lingtian already knew that a supreme expert's godhead was an extremely rare treasure. Even a supreme expert might not necessarily have one. Moreover, not every supreme expert could leave behind a supreme expert's godhead after they died. Of course, at that time, what he knew was limited. Until he entered the upgraded version of the planar battlefield's Chaos Realm, when he received the rewards for the top 3 rankings. One of the rewards for the first place was the Supreme Expert's Godhead. During that time, he had heard many people mention the Supreme Expert's Godhead, which further improved his understanding of the Supreme Expert's Godhead. The Supreme Expert's Godhead was difficult to obtain even for a Supreme Expert, because the Supreme Expert's Godhead was something that only Supreme Experts who had reached a certain level of strength had the ability to condense it. A weak Supreme Expert did not have this ability. The formation of a Supreme Expert's Godhead also meant that a Supreme Expert's comprehension of the law of essence they were proficient in had reached a higher level. A Supreme Expert whose comprehension of the law of essence had reached a certain level could be considered an outstanding existence among the other Supreme Experts. And if a person wanted to obtain a Supreme Expert's Godhead, it was either a gift from someone else, or the Supreme Expert himself left behind his own Godhead before he died. Or, one had to kill the Supreme Expert who had condensed the Supreme Expert's Godhead and forcibly snatch it away from the other party. This Supreme Expert. Now that he realized that the other party had so many Supreme Experts' Godheads, and there were many different kinds of them, Duan Lingtian's heart couldn't help but tremble. If all the Supreme Experts' Godheads belonged to this person, didn't that mean that many Supreme Experts had died in his hands? Furthermore, those Supreme Experts were all existences who had condensed the Godhead of a Supreme Expert. Existences who could condense the Supreme Expert's Godhead were considered experts among the Supreme Experts, and a Supreme Expert who could kill such existences was undoubtedly even stronger. Senior. Taking a deep breath and trying hard to suppress the shock in his heart, Duan Lingtian spoke again with a different tone. This was something he himself didn't notice. At this time, he couldn't help but recall the dream where the middle-aged Supreme Expert who had brought him here addressed the other person as Lord. At that time, he felt that it was definitely a dream. A Supreme Expert symbolized the supreme powerlessness of this world. What kind of powerful existence was that? What kind of existence was that? What kind of existence was that? How could they address another person as Lord? But now, when he realized that the owner of the voice just now was very likely to have the strength to kill a Supreme Expert who had given birth to a Supreme Expert's quintessence, he suddenly felt that it was normal for a Supreme Expert to address him as Lord. After all, not every utmost powerful expert possessed that sort of strength. Furthermore, not every paragon would be able to stand in front of him and ask him which type of paragon godhood he wanted. Judging from the other party's tone, it was obvious that he had all of the paramount godheads in his possession. I currently have a supreme godhead that contains the law of space. Senior, I would like to ask you to give me some suggestions as to which supreme godhead I should choose. As Duan Lingtian spoke, he explained in detail the various laws that he was currently proficient in. Now, the law he was most proficient in was naturally the law of space. Then, it was the law of life and the law of time. Then, it was the law of fire, the law of earth, and the law of metal. In addition, Duan Lingtian also told the other party that he had originally planned to ask for a supreme godhead that contained the law of space to complement the previous one. This way, his advancement in the law of space would naturally be faster. After saying all this, Duan Lingtian began to wait. He was not sure if the other party would be willing to talk to him or give him pointers. After all, the other party was very likely not an ordinary supreme expert. It was very likely that the other party was a top existence who could kill ordinary supreme experts as if they were dogs. In the past, Duan Lingtian had always thought that supreme experts were superior, that every one of them was extremely powerful and invincible, until he found out that some supreme experts might have many supreme godheads in their possession. Moreover, it was very likely that they had killed those supreme experts and plundered their supreme godheads. At this moment, he also realized that even among the strongest, there was a difference in strength. Perhaps it was like the difference between a lower-level ultimate god and a higher-level ultimate god. Even if there was not such a big difference, the difference between the strong and the weak among the upper-level ultimate gods was already very exaggerated, because the top experts among the upper-level ultimate gods could easily kill those who had just stepped into the upper-level ultimate god realm as if they were slaughtering chickens. Will this person give me some advice? Duan Lingtian was nervous. After all, he was only a middle-level ultimate god. Would the other party be willing to talk to him and give him advice? However, Duan Lingtian's nervousness quickly disappeared. This was because the other party responded, "Your idea is actually not wrong. Two supreme godheads that contain the law of space may indeed be able to complement each other and help you advance faster on the path of the law of space," Lin Yun said. When he heard this, Duan Lingtian thought that the other party supported his idea and plan. However, the other party's next words made Duan Lingtian realize how short-sighted or ignorant he was. However, I don't know if you have ever thought about it. What if the two supreme godheads that contain the law of space take completely different paths? What if they even clash? Under such circumstances, the other supreme godhead that contains the law of space will not only be of no help to you, but it may also harm you. After listening to the other party's words, Duan Lingtian fell silent. However, after a moment of silence, Duan Lingtian could not help but think that since this person in front of him had raised this question, would he not be able to find him a suitable supreme godhead that contained the law of space? In the next moment, as though he had guessed Duan Lingtian's thoughts, the other party continued, "I do have two supreme godheads with me. However, I'm not sure if they're suitable for you. Since you're proficient in the law of space, you should also know that many people start off on similar paths, but later on, they completely diverge and no longer cross paths. My personal suggestion is that you don't need to choose the supreme godhead with the law of space. Your supreme godhead is already enough for you to comprehend the law of space to perfection. Another supreme godhead might speed up your comprehension of the law of space, but it might also slow down your comprehension of the law of space. Of course, the final decision is up to you." The owner of the voice clearly did not intend to make the decision for Duan Lingtian. Or rather, he also felt that it was better for Duan Lingtian to make this decision himself. "Thank you for enlightening me, Senior." Duan Lingtian first expressed his gratitude, then continued respectfully, "I've decided not to choose the supreme godhead with the law of space. May I know which supreme godhead you suggest I should choose?" Duan Lingtian asked the other party again. This time, the other party was silent for a longer time. For a moment, Duan Lingtian even thought that the other party found him annoying and did not want to bother with him anymore. Only then did the other party speak again. "The law of time, the law of life. You, choose one of the two. The law of time, the law of life." At this moment, Duan Lingtian was a little hesitant when he heard the other party's suggestion. To be honest, Duan Lingtian's comprehension of the law of life was actually more profound than the law of time. If it was only based on his comprehension of the law of life, he would definitely choose the law of life. He had mentioned this to the other party earlier. The other party was aware of this. Under such circumstances, he was still given two choices. This also meant that the law of time was also very beneficial. It should be known that he had the sacred tree of life in his body. This was no secret to the Supreme Godhead. With the help of the sacred tree of life in comprehending the law of life, the other party still asked him to consider the law of time. It should be known that the sacred tree of life's assistance in comprehending the law of life was not directional. It was more of a subtle influence to provide Duan Lingtian with an environment suitable for comprehending the law of life. Therefore, the assistance of the sacred tree of life and the supreme Godhead did not conflict with each other. There was no conflict between the two supreme Godheads of the law of space. Senior. Taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian quickly made a decision. I choose the supreme Godhead of the law of time. The law of time. To Duan Lingtian, the law of time had always been very mysterious until his master obtained the inheritance of a supreme Godhead who was skilled in the law of time. Then, with his master's help, he successfully comprehended the law of time. Later on, although the law of time had made considerable progress, it was overshadowed and not worth mentioning in front of the law of space. Under normal circumstances, Duan Lingtian should have asked the Supreme Godhead why he mentioned the law of time. However, Duan Lingtian did not ask further. First, he felt that there was no need to ask further. The Supreme Godhead must have said this because he valued the law of time. Second, he was also worried that the Supreme Godhead did not have that much patience. After all, in his eyes, he was just a small, middle-level ultimate god who could be killed with a blow of his breath. Are you sure? Once you are sure, there's no going back. The voice sounded again. I'm sure. As for Duan Lingtian, he immediately nodded in response without any hesitation. The law of time was recognized as the most mysterious of the four supreme laws. It could even control time. For example, in the space where the divine corporeal spring was located, he enjoyed a different flow of time compared to outside. This was the terror of the law of time. Also, the law of time could even control the time in the area where the opponent was when fighting. The powerful law of time could even make the opponent squat on the spot for an instant. In a fight between experts, a moment's effort could often be fatal. All right, the voice sounded, followed by an object that was 70 to 80% similar to the Supreme Godhead that Duan Lingtian had obtained earlier. It seemed to appear out of thin air and floated in front of Duan Lingtian. Chapter 43-45. This is the paramount divinity of the time laws? Duan Lingtian couldn't help but feel excited when he saw the brand new paramount divinity floating in front of him. After you collect this paramount divinity, I'll send you out. The owner of the voice continued. Thank you, Senior. Duan Lingtian didn't immediately collect the paramount divinity after he thanked the other party respectfully. Instead, he asked respectfully, I wonder if it's convenient for you to tell me your name, Senior? It'll be good for me to know who the senior who has helped me so many times today is. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Duan Lingtian's expression changed. In the endless void, in a pavilion that seemed to have existed since ancient times, a young man in white stood lazily in front of the pavilion and smiled faintly. This kid is quite interesting. The paramount divinity is right in front of him, yet he's still so calm. Soon, the other party's voice sounded in Duan Lingtian's ears again. Who I am isn't important. If you can become a paramount divinity, you'll naturally know who I am. That one sentence cut off Duan Lingtian's thoughts of knowing the other party's name. Thank you, Senior. Duan Lingtian didn't say anything else and reached out to grab the paramount divinity in front of him. However, when his hand touched the paramount divinity, he felt the scenery in front of him turn upside down, and even his consciousness became a little blurry. His consciousness was fuzzy at first, but in the end, it seemed to have fallen completely silent. It was as if he'd fallen into a deep slumber. When Duan Lingtian's consciousness gradually recovered, he discovered that he'd appeared in the vicinity of the Myriad Arts Academy in the Xinjiang land. What's going on? Wasn't I in the battlefield on the other side? I think I just obtained the paramount divinity that contains the law of time? Duan Lingtian kept recalling what had just happened. Was it real or just a dream? If it was a dream, then wasn't it too realistic? Everything that had happened in the upgraded version of the Realm of Chaos in the planar battlefield was vivid in Duan Lingtian's mind. Whether it was accumulating battle merits or later accumulating chaos points, every scene left a deep impression in Duan Lingtian's mind. Up until now, it had only happened recently. I'm also confused. Suddenly, Duanling Tian recalled something. He wanted to confirm if everything he had experienced earlier was a dream. Wouldn't it be fine if he confirmed his current cultivation base? Soon after, Duanling Tian discovered that he was indeed a medium ultimate god. Moreover, he was a medium ultimate god who had consolidated his cultivation base. I'm not dreaming. All of this is real. At this thought, Duanling Tian's divine divinity, but he quickly discovered divinity's divine divinity was not in his spatial ring of Duanling Tian. Instead, the original divine divinity of spaces was still. What's going on? At this moment, Duanling Tian, who was almost certain he was not dreaming, began to hesitate. Cultivation level, yes. However, the divine divinity of time's divine divinity was gone. Could it be that the ultimate divinity took it back? Duanling Tian could not help but wonder. However, just as Duanling Tian was feeling puzzled, a few 10,000 Arts Academy's disciples passed by him. They were conversing with each other at this moment. Have you heard? Vice Palace Master Hong Yifeng has stepped down. It's said that the new Vice Palace Master who replaced him is his junior brother, Yang Yuqin. Yang Yuqin? Was it that freak? He's going to be a Vice Palace Master? When these few Myriad Law Academy students' words entered Duanling Tian's ears, Duanling Tian's mind was in a mess. Yang Yuqin? Wasn't that his third senior brother? Wasn't his third senior brother the Vice Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy a long time ago? At the very least, his third senior brother had been the Vice Palace Master for quite some time before he joined the Myriad Law Academy. However, these people said his third senior brother was newly appointed. Moreover, they even mentioned Hong Yifeng. Although Duanling Tian had yet to meet his second senior brother, he knew this name very well. It was none other than his second senior brother. What's going on? Or perhaps, these people think third senior brother is still new after being the Vice Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy for so many years? With this thought in mind, Duanling Tian stepped forward and asked. At the same time, he took out his Myriad Law Academy's student identity token to prevent the other party from raising their guard. When the other party saw his identity token, they let down their guard and began to talk to him. After a while, Duanling Tian was completely dumbfounded. Based on these people's words, his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, had only become the Vice Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy last month. Last month? How was this possible? However, as these people returned to the Myriad Law Academy, Duanling Tian waited for a while and asked a few passing Myriad Law Academy students. Gradually, he confirmed this fact. It seems like my guess was correct. In fact, when he first learned of this matter, Duanling Tian already had some guesses in his heart. After all, he had only arrived here after coming into contact with the Supreme Godhead of the Law of Time. Moreover, he did not have the Supreme Godhead in his hands at the moment. Perhaps it was the Supreme Godhead of the Law of Time that sent me here. Of course, if it was just the Supreme Godhead, it shouldn't have such an ability. It should be related to that Supreme Godhead. Duanling Tian was not stupid, especially since he possessed another supreme powerhouse divinity. Naturally, he knew it was impossible for a supreme powerhouse divinity to have such an ability. He must have used some other method to work with the paramount godhead to inflict it on him. At this moment, he could confirm that he was not dreaming. Everything that he was experiencing was real. After confirming all this, the first thing Duanling Tian did was not enter the Myriad Law Academy. Even though he had a vague guess, he did not plan to enter the Myriad Law Academy before he could confirm all this. Why would he enter the Myriad Law Academy? This era was obviously another era. In this era, Duanling Tian had not been born yet. This was because, as far as he knew, his third senior brother Yang Yuqin had been the Vice Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy for more than 1,000 years. In this era, his third senior brother Yang Yuqin had only been the Vice Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy for a month. At this time, not to mention me, even father and mother might not have been born yet. Duanling Tian sighed inwardly. In the future of this era, third senior brother definitely doesn't know me and hasn't seen me before. If I go and see him now, it's equivalent to changing the past. Although doing so might not cause bad consequences, After all, many things in the future have been confirmed. However, it's best not to try if I can avoid it. For this reason, although Duan Lingtian had arrived in the past where he had not been born, he did not rashly disturb his third senior brother Yang Yuchen. He also did not enter the Myriad Law Academy. The past, Duan Lingtian left the Myriad Law Academy and left as far as he could. As for the dangers that might exist in the outside world, they were not that dangerous to him at this moment. Before he had consolidated his cultivation base as a lower ultimate god, his strength was comparable to a top intermediate ultimate god. He might even be stronger than many top intermediate ultimate gods, and could even kill some upper ultimate gods. Now, not only had he consolidated his cultivation base as a lower ultimate god, but he had also successfully stepped into the intermediate ultimate god realm and consolidated his cultivation base as a middle ultimate god. In Duan Lingtian's opinion, even if he encountered the current clan leader of the Yun clan in the Divine Offering Land, Yun Tingfeng, he would be able to escape unscathed even if he might not be a match for him. It would not be easy for Yun Tingfeng to kill him. After thoroughly consolidating his cultivation base as a middle ultimate god, although he had not fought yet, Duan Lingtian could still make a certain judgment because he could roughly feel how much stronger he had become. With his current strength, he might not be able to do anything he wanted in the Xinjiang land, but at least as long as the ultimate experts did not intervene, there were not many who could stop him if he wanted to leave. He already had enough confidence. Now, even third senior brother and second senior brother are probably no match for me. When this thought suddenly appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind, he suddenly paused as a very interesting idea popped into his mind. How about I conceal my identity and exchange pointers with third senior brother? However, I have to wait until he leaves. It's not easy to fight in the Myriad Law Academy. Once I do, even the current Palace Master is no match for me. However, with the Myriad Law Academy's foundation, once the Palace Guarding Formation is activated, it'll be difficult for me to escape unscathed. Duan Lingtian knew that the Myriad Law Academy's Palace Guarding Formation was the work of an ultimate expert. Half a month later, Yang Yuchen, who had just been appointed as the Deputy Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy for less than 2 months, encountered a middle ultimate god who took the initiative to exchange pointers with him when he went out. After that, the other party left without a second thought. Who the hell is he? Even eldest senior sister's strength might not be comparable to his before she entered the upper ultimate god realm, right? Yang Yuchen's heart trembled as he looked in the direction the other party left. Yang Yuchen, of course, would never have thought that the person who had crushed him with one strike just now, who was completely covered by a bamboo hat and a loose black robe, and whose appearance and figure could not be seen clearly, was actually the junior brother he would personally recruit into the inner palace in the future. At the same time, in the future, not long after Duan Lingtian came into contact with the Time Law Paramount Expert's Godhead, not long after Duan Lingtian disappeared into thin air by the side of the Paramount Expert's Godhead, a figure dressed in white appeared out of thin air. It was a white-robed young man. At this moment, this white-robed young man's face was slightly pale and blood was seeping out from the corner of his mouth. I hope it's worth using that thing on him. However, I never expected that with my current strength, using that thing would cause me to bear such a heavy burden. End of this chapter. Chapter 43-46. Allowing a person to reverse time and return to a certain era in the past. This sounded inconceivable, not to mention that it was actually done. Even in the myriad worlds, the top existences might be able to allow some weak existences to return to a certain era in the past. However, even the top existences in the myriad worlds could not make an ultimate god, especially a middle-level ultimate god, live to the past, unless there was some kind of treasure as the driving force. That kind of treasure was basically a supreme treasure related to the law of time. Even if it was used on the strongest existences in the myriad worlds, it would still be of great use. Even if there was such a treasure, no one would use it to allow someone to return to the past. Even if it was their own son, very few people would be willing to use such a treasure. Of course, if someone could be sent to the past and cross the boundary of time, it would not seem to be of much use to him. However, in the process, he would have already been baptized by the reversal of time. This kind of person would have a smoother journey in the future on the path of the law of time. Of course, the current Duan Lingtian did not know this. The current Duan Lingtian had returned to the past 1,000 years before he was born. After torturing third senior brother Yang Yuqian, he left the vicinity of Myriad Jurisprudence Palace with satisfaction. As for whether fourth senior sister was in Myriad Jurisprudence Palace at this time, or whether first senior sister would appear in Myriad Jurisprudence Palace during this period of time, he did not know and was not interested to know. He only knew that he could not easily interfere with things related to him in this era and the future. It would be fine if there were no adverse consequences. If there were, it would be too late for regrets. Could it be? Could it be something that happened this time? Not long after Duan Lingtian had tormented third senior brother Yang Yuqian with satisfaction and left, a figure suddenly appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. The figure of a young girl. The young girl's name was Duan Xiaoyu. Back then, when they first met, although she had mistaken him for someone else and said that he looked like her brother, however, her feelings at that time were so sincere that it did not seem like she had mistaken him for someone else. At that time, he couldn't understand. Later on, he discussed this matter with his master, Feng Qingyang. At that time, his master, Feng Qingyang, guessed that he might have returned to the past one day in the future, met that girl, and formed a bond with her. If that was the case, everything could be explained. Of course, although everything could be explained, both Duan Lingtian and his master, Feng Qingyang, actually felt that this guess was somewhat unrealistic. It wasn't that easy for a person to return to the past, especially since Duan Lingtian's strength was getting stronger and stronger. He felt that it was even more impossible. The stronger one was, the more difficult it would be to return to the past. This was because a powerful person could change an era. For example, if a supreme expert were to return to the past a few thousand years ago, or even 10,000 years ago, he would be able to eliminate his enemies first and even kill all the geniuses that he would be jealous of in the future. In this way, the era would change. Just thinking about it made one feel that it was too unrealistic. Now, he had unexpectedly returned to the past 1,000 years ago. While Duan Lingtian was shocked, he couldn't help but think about it. If Master's guess is right, I will meet Duan Xiaoyu in this era. Moreover, we will have some interactions, and she will recognize me as her elder brother. When all these thoughts appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind, he suddenly thought of something. In this era, Ke shouldn't have reincarnated yet, right? She should still be the eldest daughter of the Xia family in the world of divine remains, Xianing Shui. After thinking about this, Duan Lingtian's heart palpitated. The first thought that came to his mind was to go to the Xia family in the world of divine remains and find a chance to meet Ke in this era. At that time, the current Ke, or Xianing Shui, definitely didn't know him. Should I go and have a look? In the end, Duan Lingtian could no longer suppress his curiosity and decided to make a trip to the world of divine remains. At this time, the realm battlefield had yet to open. It was easy for him to go to the world of divine remains from the mystic gangland. In fact, it was easy for him to go to the lower realms as well. Moreover, since he was from a lower realm, his strength would not be suppressed there. For example, people from the realms of gods would have their strength suppressed in the lower realms. Cultivators from different realms of gods won't be suppressed when they travel to other realms of gods. However, their strength will be suppressed when they travel to lower realms of gods, Duan Lingtian explained. I wonder if those natives of the realms of gods will have their strength suppressed when they go to the lower realms? For the time being, Duan Lingtian did not know the answer to this question. However, when he told the world cleansing divine water, one of the 5 divine elements in his little world, the answer he received was affirmative. Before this, Duan Lingtian had told the world cleansing divine water about his return to the past. Naturally, the world cleansing divine water was baffled by this as well. According to the world cleansing divine water, even the weakest gods and supreme powerhouses who were skilled in the law of time would not be able to send someone back to the past, let alone ultimate gods. They might not even be able to send someone back 15 minutes in time, let alone 1,000 years. Even if they could do it, they would have to pay a huge price. Even the natives of the realms of gods would have their strength suppressed in the lower realms, Duanling Tian explained. Of course, that's only for ordinary supreme powerhouses. Once these paragons give birth to the paragon godhead, they will no longer be suppressed. Not only will these ultimate expert strength be suppressed in the lower dimensions before they develop the ultimate expert divinity, but they'll also be suppressed in the outer realm. Of course, not many of them will be suppressed in the outer realm. Some of them are peak high-level ultimate gods. It's also because of this that these supreme experts rarely go to the outer realms before they give birth to the supreme expert godhead. The root of the matter is that they are all afraid of death. Currently, the world-cleansing divine water had recovered significantly with the help of the divine containment spring. No. The world-cleansing divine water said in a panicked voice, "Little Tian, shut down your little world. I can sense that there is a repulsive force between the me of this era and myself." Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat when he saw the world-cleansing divine water's panicked expression. He noticed the divine tree of life in his little world that had recovered its powerful aura was weakening. Upon seeing this, Duan Lingtian hastily shut down his little world without any hesitation. It was also at this moment that the palpitating feeling in his heart disappeared without a trace. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.